As the final bell echoes through the halls, her eyes widen in shock. She stammers, asking him to repeat those words. With a deep breath, he confesses his true feelings. He admits that he's been crushing on her since the very first moment he saw her in class. His heart has stayed true all this time. Stunned by his raw honesty, she masks her face in silence. He hangs his head low, waiting for a response while stealing glances at her. He says sorry if he overstepped, but she quickly fires back that hating him is impossible. Meeting his gaze, she tells him he's actually super sweet. Not just kind, but thoughtful and vibes with her. Why would I ever hate you? She trails off, swallowing her next words as the scene shifts to the courts. Near the hoops, students are mid-game while one guy stands isolated from the crowd. His homie stands up to ask for the tea. The boy brushes past, muttering to just let it go. His friend drapes an arm over him, eyes welling up as if he already knew the outcome. She used the "I need to study" line, but his friend calls cap. He's literally never seen her study. He questions his own worth until a stray soccer ball zips toward them like a heat-seeking missile. In a flash, he snatches the ball mid-flight. The players rush over, stunned by his insane reflexes. They check if they're good while he stares at his hands, wondering why his body is so different. His friend agrees that he's a mystery. I mean, it's not like you even hate sports, right? You're a natural athlete. Plus, your diet is basically a military-grade meal plan. If regular people worked half as hard as you, everyone in the world would be shredded. His buddy suggests a checkup, but the boy already went. So, what was the professional verdict? He explains it's just bad luck in his DNA. Returning to his empty apartment, he sighs in solitude. Inside, he glares at old portraits, whispering the word genetics like it's a cursed spell. If only that were true. Clutching his parents' photo, he wishes he could just quit trying. He traces his mother's face, admiring her timeless beauty that shines even through a dusty picture. He never met the man who raised him, but his father's legend lives on through her stories. Flashback. His father was a legendary Korean warrior, despite his career being cut short. His stats were insane. Apparently the man was naturally ripped, without even stepping into a gym. Today was a mess, he mumbles. Spinning around with newfound fire, he decides enough is enough. Igniting the stove, he dumps the diet. It's useless anyway. He raids the fridge for real food. Years of struggle and zero progress. He figures he'll binge eat before the stress kills his spirit. He stands frozen, clutching the food package as an intense silence fills the kitchen. He grips the wrapper hard, but his iron will wins. His dinner, just a single sad tomato. He chews his salad with robotic discipline. As darkness falls, the grind continues. He hits the pavement, lungs burning. Despite the agony, he refuses to let his pace slacken. He checks his stats mid-sprint, tracking every grueling mile he's conquered tonight. New record alert. Fueled by thoughts of her, he roars that he'll never back down. Gasps for air, his screen glows with a personal best. He's finally breaking his limits. I went too far, he wheezes. Scanning the unfamiliar streets, he realizes he's totally lost. He pulls up the map to get his bearings when a mysterious voice echoes from above. You're quick, kid, the voice remarks. Must be something special in those veins of yours. Without warning, an old man dives from the shadows. The impact shakes the very ground. Flattened on the asphalt, the boy frantically checks if the elder is hurt from that fall. Meet Mang Tai. He drops a bombshell. He's actually the supreme judge of this entire realm. Uncle Tai claims to hunt every demon in Korea. He smirks at the boy's sheer confusion. Clearly the kid is clueless. Snatching the boy's collar, the old man decides to show him. In one fluid motion, he tosses the boy onto a mystical fabric. He snaps his cloak. Reality shatters. Dropping to his knees, the boy witnesses a world beyond his wildest nightmares. He looks up, eyes widening as an alien landscape unfolds before him. A vast, surreal world is revealed for the first time. Mang Tai breaks the silence, welcoming him to the demon realm and telling him to take it all in. The old man gestures toward the horizon. Below, twisted creatures swarm the land, all of them pure demons. He explains they are this realm's true masters. Once humans worshipped them, now they're dismissed as mere myths. Every 606 years, the status quo shifts. A massive festival is held to crown a new king. Every demonic species must send their strongest youth to compete. To understand why, we have to look back. He speaks of a legendary demon king who once ruled everything. For a second, we see that ancient, terrifying shadow. Before he can finish, the boy snaps at him to stop. He gets the gist and doesn't want to hear more. What does this have to do with me? He demands. The old man repeats, every species needs a champion. Then comes the bombshell. This boy is the sole heir to the extinct Goblin bloodline. He's only a few generations removed from the source. Terrified, the boy tries to back away from his destiny. You've got the wrong guy, he stammers. But then he flinches. Something massive is screaming through the air toward him. Boom, a tangent-sized beast slams into the earth right in front of him. Paralyzed with fear, he hears Mang Tai speak. This is a test. The monster growls at the old man, telling him to keep his end of the bargain. Mang Tai nods. If the beast emerges as the grand victor today, the reward is set. The prize, he gets to devour the boy. The creature licks its chops, eager for a taste of fresh blood. As the beast lunges, the boy hits the deck, trying to shield himself. But he's way too slow. The monster leaps, winding up a devastating punch that connects squarely, sending the kid flying like a rag doll. He's hurled through the sky and slammed into the dirt with bone-shattering force. The impact is absolutely brutal. A crater forms where he landed. From the dust, the monster sneers, "No mere human belongs in their sacred festival." Mangtai's voice cold as ice, "Prove you're worth something or die where you lie." The boy cries out in agony, barely conscious. Above him, the monster's shadow looms ready for the kill. With terrifying agility, the beast grabs him and slams him down again. It grunts, surprised the kid hasn't snapped yet. "Let's have some fun," it snarls. "I like my meat tender before I start the feast." Raising a massive claw, the monster prepares to finish it. It lunges forward, mouth agape, ready to crush him. The ground explodes under a heavy blow, kicking up a massive dust screen. Mangtai watches the carnage without blinking. The monster goes berserk, repeatedly hammering the crater in a blind rage. But when the dust clears, he's gone. The beast realizes it missed. In a shock twist, the boy is standing right on the monster's own arm. Mangtai smirks. Goblins weren't just strong. Their combat skills were practically infinite and unpredictable. The boy rips his jacket open, his physique surging with power. He holds the monster's massive limb over his head. Their greatest weapon, pure instinct. They don't learn to fight. They play the game of war naturally. The techniques are etched into his very DNA. Channeling every ounce of goblin strength, he prepares to counter. He actually lifts the Titan's arm. Straining under the massive weight, he finds his opening for an incredible move. Using traditional goblin wrestling, he flips the beast. He slams the monster into the earth with earth-shattering power. The impact triggers a massive shockwave, hiding the battlefield in grit. Standing over his fallen foe, he looks different. He still looks human, but the energy is shifted. He gasps for air, drained from the insane physical feat. The truth is out, he's a half-goblin. Suddenly, the scene shifts. He's back in reality, standing outside a shop. His friend pops out, asking how that crazy story ended. Sipping his juice, the boy sighs, nothing happened. He tells his friend, it just ended there. It was all just a weird, hyper-realistic fever dream. He insists it wasn't even cool, because he got his ass kicked. But his friend is stuck on the moves. Dreams reflect reality, right? His friend reminds him that he's never been a fighter, so where'd that skill come from? The boy admits it felt like he'd known those moves forever. He even claims he could do it again right now. Don't get ahead of yourself, his friend laughs. The boy just shrugs and crushes his empty juice box. He figures it's just stress. After all, nobody transforms their entire body in a single night, right? But then it happens. His muscles warp and surge again. Panic hits as he stares at his new monstrous reflection. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls out to him. Spinning around, he finds himself face to face with a man walking alongside a girl. Mangtai clarifies that he had blacked out and just regained consciousness. Looking around, the cold reality hits. This is no dream. With a battered face, he surveys the strange landscape with grim intensity. Nearby, the beast he just fought remains, completely crushed. He watches as the creature writhes on the ground, letting out agonizing screams of pain. Slumped on the dirt, he desperately wonders how he will ever find his way back home. From a distance, Mangtai asks the girl for her honest take on the boy. She scoffs, calling him a massive letdown. Having watched him, she labels humans as pathetic, foolish creatures. She then questions Mangtai about the goblin blood. He argues she saw his combat prowess, but she denies it. Glaring at the beast, she calls his moves raw brute force. She adds that he barely scraped by with a win. As he approaches the two, the boy interrupts their talk, claiming he has finally proven his worth. He just wants to know if he can leave. Fixing his gaze on him, Mangtai prepares to deliver his final verdict on this twisted turn of events. The onlookers are visibly shaken by the spectacle. Seeing the fallen beast, they whisper that it was downed in one shot. Rumors swirl among them that the descendants of the legendary goblins are still alive and nearby. He struggles to find his breath after that hellish encounter. As he pants, Mangtai slowly closes the distance. Walking through the arena, he slams his staff down, announcing he is ready to give his final decree. Pointing at the boy, he formally declares him a demon. The boy gasps as Mangtai asks for any objections. With the verdict set, he orders the news to spread across the peninsula. The demon world buzzes over a goblin sighting. Mangtai explains that this title protects him. No one can harm him without cause. Still processing everything, the boy asks again if he can go, but the girl calls him an idiot for not realizing he is now a demon. Crossing her arms, she explains that returning to the human world is impossible. He pleads with Mangtai, swearing he has never caused trouble. Mangtai realizes the boy does not grasp his new reality. To force the issue, he threatens him, claiming that killing him is the only way to resolve this mess. Reacting to the killing intent, the boy leaps back to create distance. Totally lost, he demands to know what is happening right now. Shocked by the distance, he realizes he jumped much farther than humanly possible. He stares back at the old man from afar. Mangtai asks if he is finally sensing his new power. On his knees, he is told his body is now demonic. Meng Tai explains that while goblins are elite, he is 10 times more powerful. According to him, a mortal frame would have been pulverized by such energy. Hearing this, he listens as Meng Tai mentions that he only needs to wait 6 months. He learns the 500-year law was forged by the last king. Flashback to 66 years ago, a man flees through a dark forest. Back then, demons roamed the human world freely. Running through the woods, the man trips with zero hope of escape. On the ground, he can only shake in terror. A nightmare emerges. A colossal centipede appears, turning toward its prey. The monster glares at him. With no exit, the man breaks down in absolute soul-crushing despair. Suddenly, another demon intervenes. Legend said some demons were actually friendly and acted as protectors. Yet the man was still paralyzed by fear. For 666 years after the festival, humans both feared and worshipped them. The new demon king hated this dynamic. He established a new law strictly forbidding demons from hurting humans. Consequently, humanity forgot their existence, seeing them now as nothing more than fairy tales. But Meng Tai warns the peace is ending as the king faces a coup. The demons have waited 666 years for this. On the night of demons, they will all invade the human realm. Eager for answers, he asks where to master his new powers. He wonders how strong he will be among the others. Seeing his sudden resolve, Meng Tai asks what changed his mind. Answering the old man, he vows to keep his people safe, his mother and friend flashing through his mind. He knows he must be their protector. Meng Tai notes his blood is potent enough to guard them all. He suggests that as king, he could change the laws. The girl scoffs, doubting he can even survive the festival. Almost forgetting his manners, Meng Tai apologizes for the late introduction between the two of them. Introduced as Xiaohua, she says it does not matter since they will not meet again. She then reminds Meng Tai of his promise. Monte lays out the rules for her qualification trial. Her heart is set on finally reaching the human realm. Dazed, the boy recalls his simple task wait. She huffs, begging him to hurry while venting about this annoying exam. She brags about outclassing most demons. He nods but reminds her that raw power requires ironclad patience and discipline. She grumbles and, I get it, praying this isn't just another stall tactic as she stomps off. Zero time for your mood swings, he snaps, halting them as the festival looms over them. He declares it's trial time. Breaking down the scheme, he points to the boy as her golden ticket. Horrified, she pleads with him to stop before he says it. His verdict: 1 month. That's all she gets. Her mission: drill the basics of demonhood into the kid. Success means they both cross over together. You're joking, right? She screams, gesturing wildly at the boy with a look of pure disbelief. Teaching him anything in 30 days is a pipe dream. Unfazed, he calmly delivers his final ultimatum. Decline, and she's stuck. She scoffs that 1 month or 6, this student is a lost cause anyway. The clock is ticking, he warns, leaving the choice to her. Suddenly, a rift tears open the air nearby. Monty decides to gamble on the kid and vanishes into the portal. She turns, preparing to ask a question. She already knows he's clueless. Got any idea what demonic energy even is? She asks, letting out a weary sigh. Of course you don't, she mutters. Suddenly his pupils dilate as a dark shadow looms directly behind her. The beast from before suddenly reappears. He points past her, paralyzed with fear. The brat belongs to me, the monster growls, ignoring her completely. Where's Mante? Our brawl isn't finished yet. Seolhua sneers at the creature. What's your deal? She mocks, stepping dangerously close into its personal space. She insults his entire lineage as bottom-tier trash. Shaking with fury, the beast glares words, failing his rage. The beast lunges with murderous intent, reigniting the chaos. Meanwhile, the narrator dives into the lore of demons. Humans are mostly the same but demons. They are defined by their unique species and ancestral bloodlines. Raw talent and latent power forge a brutal hierarchy. With the goblins gone, the throne of supremacy sits empty. Looking at the frozen beast, she tilts her head. Something wrong, big guy, she taunts. Grinning, she flexes her tail and drops the name of the ultimate predator in the demon world. Xiaohua challenges him to throw down. Suddenly, Big Mouth appears right behind her, looming like a nightmare. He's bound tight in glowing magic chains. Siwu watches the madness unfold, his lips sealed in pure shock. Panic is useless now, he realizes. She pivots toward the boy, her eyes sharp and ready to lecture. Witnessing this, she asks. She starts explaining the mechanics of demonic magic, the fuel that burns through inner energy. The lesson continues. Magic comes in 2 flavors, the kind you're born with and the kind you earn. A goblin's combat instinct is hardwired into their DNA, but acquired magic, that's a whole different ballgame. Any demon can master it with enough sweat. She gestures toward Big Mouth, the ultimate poster child for skipped practices. She sneers at his lack of discipline, calling him bottom-tier trash. Now she says, your education begins. First, a reality check. Her eyes turn ice cold as she declares her absolute hatred for wasting time. Just quit now, she suggests. This mountain might be too steep for a frail former human to climb. Siwoo fires back, vowing to crawl through hell just to keep pace with her brutal training regime. His grit is undeniable. He insists on learning, telling her to stop babysitting him. She cracks a smirk. Slim odds are better than zero, she admits. First step to becoming a monster, we eat. Siwoo is lost. She drops a truth bomb: you can't cast a single spell without demonic fuel. Every resident here overflows with it, but his tank, it's running on fumes, practically bone dry. Power usually stacks over time, but he's a rookie. Human snacks won't do squat to refill his energy. Those mortal meals are trash for demons. Starving yet, she teases, mocking him after that brutal scrap. Siwoo shakes his head, claiming he's fine. Suddenly, a violent jolt electrifies his chest, stopping him cold. His eyes bug out. Agony twists his frame into a knot. He stares down at his own palms. They're shaking uncontrollably. Seolhwa chimes in, reminding him of what she said before. He's running on empty. That last desperate strike drained every single drop of essence he had left. She concludes it is just a classic mana burnout from overexertion, offering a dead simple fix. She catches Seo Choi mid-fall, pointing toward the demon with a chilling, pointed question. With a wicked smirk, she reveals the brutal laws governing these official supervised demon duels. The victor claims the loser's life. Her command, devour it to instantly replenish your core energy. She claims those big mouth variants are the ultimate snacks for raw instinctual recharging. Seo Choi stalks toward his prey, gripped by a terrifying primal hunger for the first time. Seolhwa watches his glowing red eyes, knowing her whispers ignited this monstrous craving within him. Only hunger remains. He drifts toward the beast, his movements eerily calm and unbothered by Seolhwa. Suddenly, the goblin greed within him locks onto a far more delicious and tempting prey. Seolhwa freezes, she is the target. Seo Choi explodes forward, lunging with lethal high-speed intent. Stunned by his betrayal, Seolhwa mutters how insane this is, while weaving a defensive spell. She summons spectral chains, triggering a massive energy detonation that rocks the entire battlefield. As the smoke clears, she watches the aftermath, seeing her chains successfully shackling his aggressive advance. Sneering, she calls it pure audacity for a mere half-demon to try and hunt her. Bound but unbroken, Seo Choi glares back with a gaze that screams he is not finished yet. She vows to teach him his place as the chains tighten, but he begins to flex violently. The links start fracturing. Shocked, she realizes he is overpowering her one-tail manifestation power. With a roar of pure strength, he shatters the bindings and rockets forward with a savage lunge. His fist craters the ground beside her. I got your message loud and clear, he growls. Snatching her finger, he challenges her perception of his goblin blood. She finally admits he is right. As she recoils, she prepares her trump card, summoning the legendary Demon Emperor to the fray. Her summon's opening gambit is a colossal fist descending from the heavens with tectonic force. Seo Choi does not flinch, bracing himself for the massive shadow looming directly over him. His eyes remain locked on the threat. The impact hits like a meteor, burying everything in dust. He crosses his arms against the shockwave. The blast consumes everything, including the trapped monster nearby. A second, more violent eruption of mana follows. Slowly, the thick haze begins to lift. Did she overdo it? Seeing his silhouette still standing, she sighs that he brought this on himself. Seo Choi remains upright. Seolhwa admits she did not expect much, but the situation shifts. This was no fluke. Seo Choi had just tapped into an ancient inherent magic lost to most. Even elite goblins cannot touch this power, yet it begins to surge and materialize in his grip. Pure crushing energy forms in his palm. He clenches his fist tightly, shattering the old limits. His broken symbol morphs into a monstrous combat club. He turns, radiating a brand new lethal threat. A formidable half-breed, she notes. He is now wielding the goblin's ultimate dark magic weapon. Seolhwa is no amateur. She is a once-in-a-millennium prodigy with terrifying demonic talent. Having mastered Nine Tails instantly, her instincts scream that true danger is finally approaching. Before her stands a weapon unseen for centuries. Still, she maintains her icy demonic confidence. She believes her mana is superior, yet the pressure radiating from him is utterly unprecedented. Seo Choi takes a heavy step forward, marking the start of his devastating counteroffensive. The sheer weight of his presence shocks her. Suddenly, he blurs forward with a savage swing. His blow shatters the earth, creating a shockwave that mirrors a massive, violent explosion. Debris rains down as the floor disintegrates. Regaining her stance, she steels her resolve once more. Not bad, she mutters, readying herself. Suddenly, a massive fist intercepts his next strike. Seo Choi is caught off guard as his weapon is pinned by the Titan's crushing grip. Smirking, Seolhwa declares, it is her turn now as the massive hand squeezes his club. He fights for control, but the beast's sheer momentum flings him helplessly into the sky. A massive fist slammed him skyward before hurling his broken form back to the earth with terrifying force. Plummeting through the air, he saw her wearing a smug, triumphant grin, confident that her strike had landed perfectly. But an ethereal tether yanked him back, dragging him through the dirt as the energy link slammed him into the ground. Gazing at the Titan's fist, she sensed a lingering spark of defiance. One hit wouldn't be enough to break his spirit. She'd have to beat him into submission. Realizing this, the monstrous hand tightened its grip, preparing a lethal follow-up. The weapon spun in a violent blur, unleashing a devastating shockwave. Suddenly, her eyes widened in pure, unfiltered shock. Something was wrong. As the smoke cleared, his silhouette emerged from the haze, standing tall and completely unbroken. He caught the club barehanded, shuddering. She wondered if this boy possessed strength, rivaling the great emperor himself. Even so, the giant fist crushed the weapon with all its might. He simply pivoted, coiling his muscles like a spring. He unleashed a ferocious circular swing. Desperate to stop the momentum, the giant palm lunged to seize the weapon's tip. The club shifted and pulsed, morphing to match its master's murderous intent. This was how the goblins once ruled. With a cold, piercing gaze, he locked onto his target, channeling every ounce of power into his next catastrophic move. Behold Metamorph, the weapon of infinite forms. Now, it transformed into a massive pillar of pure, unadulterated destruction. He swung the heavy steel into the giant fist. Watching the transformation, she realized reading his patterns was now impossible. It wasn't just raw power. The surgical precision with which he manipulated his demonic energy left her completely floored. Any hesitation would be a death sentence. Tightening its grip, the beast gathered its strength for one final soul-crushing punch. Seolhwa's expression hardened. To end this madness once and for all, she'd have to crush him into the dirt. Two massive hands erupted from the void, swiping at Seol Choi from every angle in a frenzied, relentless assault. He grabbed one of the Titan's massive limbs, struggling to stabilize, but the barrage continued to batter his body. Impressive. She noted that no mere amateur could survive this onslaught. He was definitely built different. The legends of the Goblin Kings ruling over demons were true. Still, she decided the boy had reached his limit. This duel had gone on long enough. She could see it in his eyes. His demonic reserves were finally hitting rock bottom. At this rate, his own power would tear his body apart. With a weary sigh, she played her final card. He surged forward, forcing her hand. Before things turned lethal, Seol Choi lunged, aiming a desperate counterstrike at the arm. She initially prepared to unleash 3 tails of power, but a sudden thought made her reconsider her entire strategy. She unleashed 5 tails, instead telling him to be honored, as he swung a massive blade of pure energy. With a smirk, she admitted he was the first to make her try this hard. Then, the great demon emperor appeared. Seol Choi gripped his weapon, eyes darting upward. With a sudden burst of speed, he leaped aside, dodging the overhead blow. The demon emperor spun his massive blade with terrifying velocity, slamming it into the earth like a falling star. The ground shattered upon impact. Following up with a brutal cut, the creature unleashed a wave of pure devastation. The blow connected perfectly, sending Seol Choi flying across the wasteland. After the strike, the emperor stood motionless. A massive crater divided the field as the beast awaited commands. Gasping for air, Seol Choi's strength finally failed him. It was over. Collapsed in the dirt, he realized any hope for a comeback had vanished into thin air. He heard her voice through the haze, mocking him as his muscles seized. This was the price of his defiance. She muttered about the scolding she'd received from Meng Tai, but as she turned, something shifted behind her. A strange vibe filled the air. There, broken on the floor, Seol Choi began to sob, calling out for his mother. Seol Hwa's mask crumbled, replaced by a cold, serious stare. Slowly, she reached out her hand toward the weeping boy. Clearly annoyed by the situation, she flicked her wrist, and Seol Choi's body began to drift upward into the air. He hovered helplessly as she performed intricate hand signs. She drew closer, cupping his face with a strangely tender grip. Locking eyes, she leaned in and kissed him, transferring a mysterious essence directly into him before breaking the contact. She pulled back and spat on the ground in disgust. The impact was too much. Seol Choi instantly blacked out. He was out cold. She'd burned through 5 tails and the fox gem. "You'd better pay me back," she warned. His eyelids fluttered open, light flooding his vision in an unfamiliar room. Groggily, he forced himself into a sitting position. The bed felt foreign. He scanned the room, his mind a jumble of half-remembered shadows and a crushing defeat. The door creaked open, bathing the room in light. Seol Hwa stepped through the threshold, her presence filling the space. Balancing a tray, she locked her gaze onto him with an expression that screamed dead serious. As she approached, he flashed a stiff, nervous grin. So Choi's eyes fell on the bull hesitation creeping in. Keeping his head low, he broke the silence with a heavy apology, admitting that every memory had flooded back. He confessed he was awake, but had zero control over those wild actions. A deep bow followed his apology. He felt terrible for risking her life despite her kindness. She brushed his words aside, demanding he drink. Stunned, he gestured toward the murky black fluid and questioned exactly what she was playing at. She pressured him to gulp it down before the heat faded. Accepting the bowl, he wondered if this was medicine. After a tense pause, he finally swallowed a mouthful, his face scrunching from the overwhelming bitterness. She warned him that spitting it out meant death. When he asked for the ingredients, she offered no answers. He choked it down while she commanded total focus. Seolwa then began to drop some serious truth bombs. She noted that he'd dropped something vital mid-battle. Apparently, that big-mouth monster he'd just crushed. It fled during the chaos, but she cautioned that he is still its master. That beast is currently laying low. Cleaning his lips, he heard her claim he'd passed up a free feast. He insisted there had to be an alternative. Grinning, she reminded him his humanity was gone. He countered that the thought of slaughtering and devouring people felt like a straight-up nightmare, yet he realized these monsters would wreak havoc if left unchecked. Determination flared as he vowed to hunt and consume if it meant saving others. Then he clarified his stance. He was just checking for a cleaner path. She reiterated that the fastest route to true power is devouring fellow demons, but dual laws actually shield the weak from being eaten by the powerful. Seolwa warned that easy pickings were gone. His reputation had already echoed across the entire demon realm. Weaklings will avoid him like the plague. Only the absolute heavy hitters will step up to challenge him now. She bluntly stated he was currently too weak. Standing up, she added that despite his pathetic state, a small boost beats nothing. She called him over, promising a special gift before leading him out. They reached the massive estate's outer courtyard. Witnessing the scene, he questioned if this gift was a joke. A chained monster thrashed wildly while she smirked. Shocked, he asked if that terrifying beast was a demon. She confirmed it. As the shackled beast bared its teeth, she noted it had surrendered all its dignity. Grinning, she explained that some demons snap and lose their minds. The truly unfortunate ones commit acts they can never undo. They are branded as mindless beasts and stripped of every right. Perched on the roof, she egged him on. The beast slammed the earth as she labeled it a mere animal. The kobold unleashed a devastating smash aimed right at him, but Seo Choi barely danced out of the way. He ducked just in time, gasping for air as he shook off the shock, prepping for the next onslaught. Relaxing, she admitted she expected more hesitation, noting that his reflexes were actually surprisingly sharp. She revealed this foe was once legendary, but raw greed consumed him, making his energy impossible to tame. He went insane and transformed into this monster. The kobold lunged, claws slashing through the air toward him. Tumble rolling back, he evaded the strike to reset the distance, his eyes locked onto the predator. Seo Choi's gaze intensified, dissecting every twitch. The beast charged once more, jaws snapping with lethal intent. Watching from afar, Seolwa realized it hadn't touched its weapon yet despite its massive power boost. This foe wouldn't be caught easily. She was intentionally driving him to awaken his primal survival instincts. Dropping into a combat stance, he prepared for a head-on collision. Seolwa watched, visibly stunned by his posture. His plan was a total mystery to her. Tightening his fists, he readied himself for a raw fistfight. He charged, unleashing a storm of strikes. A memory flashed back to his coach, praising his insane reflexes. Impressed, the coach asked if Seo Choi had ever considered going pro in the boxing world. He joked he'd consider it after shedding some pounds. The coach immediately offered to help him train. Claiming he was tournament ready, the coach inspired him. Seo Choi hoped boxing would finally burn that stubborn fat. Back in reality, he slipped another hit. Since combat wasn't his goal, he stayed laser-focused on his strikes. It wasn't about power or glory. He was just a desperate guy, obsessed with losing weight at any cost. Failure was a constant companion, but he refused to yield. With grit in his teeth, he unleashes a bone-shattering kick upon the beast. This wasn't luck. He'd mastered 16 different sports to chase his dream. Among that grueling list, 7 were lethal combat styles. Even though he'd trained briefly and hadn't shredded much weight, his form was absolute. His latent goblin blood fused with sheer obsession, forging him into a whirlwind of destruction. He possessed total mastery over 7 martial arts. Now he delivers a final skull-crushing strike to the creature's jaw. Stunned, she watches the impossible unfold. The impact is deafening as the blow connects. The kobold's legs give out and it slams into the dirt, utterly broken. Gasping for air, our hero glares at his prey. He genuinely wonders how he's supposed to dine on this freak. Seo Choi stands over the defeated kobold, lungs burning. From the shadows above, she questions if those were human techniques. She realizes mortal arts weren't meant for demon-level strength. Yet he adapted to his demonic vessel instantly, wielding it like a seasoned veteran. Maybe there's hope for him after all. Wiping sweat away, Seo Choi thinks the nightmare is finally over. Did she really mean eat it literally? She just smirks, clearly trolling his innocent question. Then her voice turns cold. The hunt isn't done. Before he can blink, the kobold lunges from the abyss. Its fangs sink deep into Seo Choi's shoulder. He roars in agony, struggling to shake off the savage beast. Crimson ichor sprays across the pavement, painting the scene in gore. The monster tears at his arm with primal fury. Trembling from the shock, the kobold swallows a hunk of flesh, smiling like a nightmare demon. Seo Choi collapses. His scream echoes through the night, eyes wide with terror. He's paralyzed by the brutal ambush. Suddenly, a massive impact sends him hurtling through the air like a ragdoll. Seolwa watches, baffled by his frozen reaction. He lies shattered on the ground, overwhelmed by the trauma. It wasn't just pain, it was the primal human fear of losing everything. His body shudders with uncontrollable tremors. Sensing his panic, the kobold bellows, a blood-curdling roar ready to finish the job. But then, his mangled shoulder begins to knit back together. The beast strikes again, claws flashing like razors. He retreats, barely avoiding a fatal swipe. The monster's talons graze his skin, carving deep gouges across his chest. Yet he watches in awe as the gashes vanish instantly. Frantic, the monster strikes harder, confused by his immortality. Sensing his own resilience, Siu Choi finds his second wind. Confidence surges, shifting the very atmosphere of the entire battlefield. He realizes flesh wounds are trivial unless they stop his heart. With a roar, he unbridles his true power. Shattering his mental shackles, he erupts with energy, leaving the kobold trembling at the sudden transformation. He lands a thunderous punch, joking that his arm nearly snapped. He looks down at the broken beast. The impact was devastating. Knowing the monster also heals, he declares the fight finished. Seolwa applauds his lethal strike. That kobold isn't getting back up. She asks how the rush feels. He's dazed, having burned through that energy without losing his mind. He questions his own power. She explains he burned through energy to mend his flesh and infused his strike with demonic force. It felt like a spark, he admits. She confirms it, that was the awakening of his demonic core. But he's still a rookie. This trial was designed to force his inner power to the surface. Watching the kobold hover, she admits he's a prodigy. She expected this to take over a week. He scratches his head, embarrassed by the praise. She approaches the beast for the final execution. Her eyes lock onto his. Has he ever taken a life before? The question hits him like a truck. He's never had to cross that line. She warns him that ending this quickly is a mercy for both. Pierce the vital point above the navel, she commands. She notes that the first kill always leaves a scar. Stepping forward, he prepares to deliver the killing blow. He stares down the monster. To evolve, he must extinguish its life and claim its essence. He gathers strength for the unthinkable act. Memories flash by laughing with a friend standing beside his mother. His old life fades into the abyss as he finally puts the kobold out of its misery. Look closely, she whispers. You should feel the essence flowing into your palms now. There it is, the energy crystal she mentioned. Without a second thought, he tosses it back and swallows it whole. Eyes locked in focus, he braces for the power to surge. Looking at his palms, he whispers, I actually ate it. Crickets. Nothing happens. Suddenly, a tiny crow perches on his shoulder. What? The he shrieks, jumping out of his skin. He tries to swat the bird away, but it takes flight with a violent flap. Mid-air, the creature begins to shift. A girl stands before Siu Choi and Seolwa. What are you doing here? Seolwa snaps, clearly annoyed. Do friends need a reason? She teases. Then her tone shifts. Actually, I'm here on some pretty heavy business. She's Solmi. She asks if he's the half-goblin. Siu Choi bows politely while Seolwa keeps a hawk-like eye on him. Solmi explains she's freelancing for Mangtai. Her mission, to deliver the hard-earned reward they deserve. About that kobold hunt, Seolwa insists Siu Choi takes it all. After all, he took the beast down solo. Solmi admits she saw the whole thing and was impressed. You might actually be a real threat, she muses. Seolwa isn't buying it. Solmi just smiles. Sorry girl, but I totally have to disagree with you there. Turning to Siu Choi, Solmi reveals his reward comes with a few interesting paths to choose from. The choice: head back home or evolve into an even deadlier demon. Cut to the next scene. Dawn breaks over the school as Siu Choi walks in. His phone buzzes a friend checking if he's alive. Everything's chill. Siu Choi lies, leaving his friend baffled. Then he drops a request for a major favor. It sounds insane, but his buddy tells him to just spit it out. You're the only one I can trust. The request leaves his friend stunned. What are you even talking about? Where the hell are you right now? Tell my mom I'm at a center, Siu Choi pleads, knowing that place doesn't just take anyone in. He begs for help. With a heavy sigh, his friend agrees, even though the whole situation smells fishy. I'll help, but you better explain this mess, the friend says. Suddenly, Siu Choi spots Solmi right there. She puts a finger to her lips, signaling him to keep his mouth shut. Total silence is mandatory. If he leaks their existence, she's toast. On the other end, his friend finally caves and agrees to help. Call me if things go south, his buddy says. Siu Choi hangs up, ending the tense conversation. Staring at his screen, the friend can't shake the feeling that something is seriously wrong with Siu Choi. Siu Choi exhales while Solmi watches him closely. So the fight's over. Can I actually just go home now? Spot on, Solmi confirms. I wasn't capping. But then, Seolwa cuts in with a cold intervention. She offers a ticket back to the human world. Her gaze is sharp, demanding a final life-altering decision. He declines. He'll return in 1 month after the test. If I don't grind now, I'm finished, he explains. That last battle was a wake-up call. He needs to evolve before something even more terrifying hunts him down. His fist clenches tight. I need power to survive this. He chooses the path of the demon. It's the only way. Impressed by his grit, Solmi gives him a solid thumbs up. Seolwa groans. Quit baiting him with fake choices. She then reveals the truth behind Solmi's little game. Apparently, Solmi loves testing people like this. Guilty. It was just a vibe check, Solmi chirps. She wanted to see what he's made of. Then she teases Seolwa for never reading the book she provided. Seolwa snaps back. That theory was trash. I wrote the book, Solmi just laughs. I'm borrowing him for a sec. There's work to do. Suchoi points to himself, totally lost as to why she needs him. Solmi grins and suddenly massive crow wings explode from her back. Feathers rain down as Suchoi freezes. Shocked by the shift, he watches as she transforms into a legendary magpie demon, a creature of pure myth. She can hop between worlds and take one demon along. Seolwa warns him the trip might be nauseating. You'll live, she adds. The massive bird chirps a goodbye, promising to see them on the other side. She takes flight. Handing the phone back, he thanks Solmi for letting him make that crucial call. Lounging in her chair, she asks if he misses his family. It's just me and my mom, he says. She's away on business, so Solmi offers to whip up some dinner. You hungry? She asks casually. He stands up ready to try something completely new. So what's this special thing you're planning, he wonders. Scene shift. Fresh ingredients are laid out on the cutting board, the aftermath of a cooking session. A lavish feast covers the table as he helps himself to the spread. He admits it's just a makeshift meal, but she's thrilled. She's been dying for a taste of authentic human home cooking. Dropping a total bombshell, she reveals they'll be schoolmates. The news nearly makes him choke on his dinner. She casually mentions having 0 friends to hang out with. Post-dinner, she offers a sincere thanks for the hospitality. Calling the meal absolute fire, she snaps her fingers. Time for his promised prize, no more waiting around. Solmi levitates a mystical scroll, calling it a spatial storage unit. She unrolls it, revealing a high-tech digital interface. Browsing through the scroll's contents, she preps a withdrawal. With a flourish, she yanks out a heavy wooden chest. After a quick tutorial on inventory management, she hands it over. Apparently this thing has some hidden OP features. Cracking the lid, he finds a stash of ancient coins, scrolls, and a mysterious pouch. Solm grins, identifying the loot as Demon Realm currency. Examining one, Siu Choi learns this pile is worth a literal fortune. Finally, she unveils the pouch, a legit demonic treasure. This artifact is packed with game-changing supernatural capabilities. It's straight out of a legend. Solm drops the mic. Mantai sent this, proving he's betting big on Siu Choi. Is this about the coronation tournament for the next king? Solmi admits the pride of the nation is at stake. A Korean demon king would be a massive flex. She mentions a previous contender who almost seized the throne. That legend failed at the finish line. He was a Dokubai, the mightiest goblin in history. Gripping the treasure, he reels. He was just a regular guy yesterday. If this is all a fever dream, he's ready to wake up. But the dream is reality. Steeling his resolve, he vows to climb to the top. The decision is made. Seeing his worry for humanity, she smirks. Her suggestion, just become the Demon King and protect them yourself. He's floored. Ruling as the supreme judge for 600 years, that's a hell of a commitment. 66 years included. Solmi invites any questions. He points toward a stray scroll nearby. He asks about the random scroll. Solmi looks over, and her blood runs cold. It's flashing, a crimson warning. That's a demonic SOS. A rogue demon is currently violating the sacred laws and causing chaos. Humans are being targeted. This kind of brutal transgression hasn't occurred in the mortal realm for decades. Her face pales as the horrifying truth hits. Glancing out the window, she lets out a sharp scream. The signal is right on their doorstep. Terror strikes as they stare at the scroll in utter disbelief. Moonlight bathes the sprawling metropolis. With a quick snap, a spark of magic ignites the air. A cryptic relic manifests in his bedroom. An archaic scroll hovers before his eyes, catching him off guard. Reaching out, he hesitates. What kind of power would awaken if he actually touched this thing? He decides to save the tech support for Solmay later. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto something across the room. The clock strikes, 9:50 time is slipping away. Elsewhere, the tension is rising. Solmi knows the 10 o'clock deadline is looming. He recalls telling her to sit tight, he'd be right back. She'd given him that sweet smile, insisting they're friends now. But since she vanished, things feel off. The silence of the apartment is deafening. It's past 10, and a cold knot of anxiety forms in his chest. He kicks himself for not getting her digits. His eyes drift toward a dusty shelf in the corner. He focuses on an old photo of his dad. If goblin blood flows through him, it started with his old man. Mantai confirms his lineage is a few generations deep. Staring at the picture, Siu Choi's mind races. Did his father know the truth? A sudden noise snaps him back to reality. He drops into a combat stance. He shouts for Solmay toward the balcony, nothing but silence. Meanwhile, in a pitch-black alleyway, a terrified victim sprints for his life. Suddenly, a shadow lunges, seizing him by the throat, in a death grip. The beast sheds its disguise, revealing a nightmare incarnate. It unhinges its jaw, letting out a bone-chilling roar. The sound rips through the night. Suddenly, a blinding beam of pure energy pierces the gloom. Miles away, Solmay huffs. This fight is a total grind. At this rate, she'll be plucked bald. The monster sneers at its prey, but Solm isn't having it. She steps up to challenge the beast. She mocks its lack of sensation as they collide in a brutal ground and pound. The shadow entity begins to waver. Its dark form starts disintegrating into nothingness. The survivor watches shaking with pure terror at the supernatural showdown. Patching up the survivor, Solmi promised his buddy would pull through soon. The kid broke down in tears of terror and relief, while a shadow loomed above. Solmi sensed the shift and turned to face the beast as it scaled the wall. It slammed into the pavement, shaking them both. Then the cold warning came. He mocked her clan's honor, but Solmi knew her savior was already on the way. He called her delusional, spitting that a sister like her was a straight-up curse. He told the victim it was just bad luck, lulling him into a deep sleep. Hypnosis. He ditched that skill years ago, ending the talk right there. 2 more demons were lurking nearby. He could feel their dark signatures. That made 24 kills, all just weak kobold puppets for a hidden master. 7 dead, 50 mangled. Solmi was shaken, but he just questioned the motive. He corrected himself quickly. This wasn't for fun, but for a tactical advantage. Demons don't just hunt for sport, they feast on human flesh and blood. It's the ultimate demonic power-up. Solmi froze, absolutely horrified by the truth. She'd never heard of such a grim ritual to boost demonic strength. Memory-triggered Meng Tai once said young demons were getting lazy. To them, Earth was just a boring playground, until the festival approached. Now they're risking it all. If you're with Meng Tai, you know the stakes. He understood the motive, but hated the messy execution. He preferred stealth. She called him a coward, but he valued surgical precision over loud chaos. Tell that to the bosses, Solmi yelled, before a sudden realization hit her. Her face shifted. I'm out, she said, vanishing into a cloud of feathers. Meanwhile, So Choi stared at his open apartment door in total confusion. He hadn't left it open. Behind him, a shadow crept into the room. The intruder moved with zero sound, thinking this kill would be light work. A lethal strike was aimed right at Seo Choi's unsuspecting back, but at the final second, Seo Choi's danger instinct screamed. He dove aside, snatching the attacker's wrist in a blur of motion. Boom! He shattered the floor with a stomp, shocking the hidden assassin. He'd tracked every move. With a violent spin, he hurled the beast away. Panting, he realized that was a close call. Just a standard goblin instinct. Pure biology, not magic. He braced himself. Goblins never fall for the same trick. The balcony railing hung in twisted ruins as he caught his breath. Relieved but still on high alert, he scanned for the next threat. That icy chill. It was exactly like the day he was first bitten. Without that memory, he'd be dead. He hoped the parking lot was empty below. Dust billowed from a fresh crater in the asphalt. The impact was massive. Suddenly, he was pinned from behind. A cold voice whispered in his ear. I put the humans to sleep. A neighborhood panic would be a real drag. He praised the goblin's high energy before dragging him over the edge. They plummeted from the balcony. The demon's tail whipped out, launching him. Seo Choi thrashed in the grip, but the demon just gave a wicked grin. Like a rag doll, he was slammed into the earth, creating a massive crater. My bad, the demon laughed, landing right next to his broken body. The ground was weak anyway. The humans will just call it an accident. Struggling to his feet, the demon sneers that he should have died already, a creepy smirk plastered across his face. He demands Seo Choi surrender his soul. Suddenly, the colossal silhouette of a massive serpent manifests, radiating pure, suffocating pressure. The beast offers a merciful end, let him be eaten whole. Noticing the terror, he scoffs, claiming this slaughter is a total favor. He flexes his god-tier status, warning that resistance only guarantees more agony, while doubling down on his twisted proposal. He dangles a cruel promise, accept the deal, and his mother stays off the menu. He flaunts their photo to twist the knife. 0 words. Seo Choi just launches himself like a rocket, his fist connecting with a bone-shattering crunch against the demon's jaw. Pouring every ounce of strength into his grip, he seizes the demon's collar, refusing to let his prey escape. The demon actually apologizes, admitting that threatening family was a low blow. He claims he was forced into being that dirty. Unleashing his true dark mana, the fiend reveals he just needed an excuse to snap. Staring him down, Seo Choi mutters, "That your venom is pretty mid." The demon taps his chest, revealing the catch: he needs physical contact to trigger the kill. He confesses his gift is useless against true monsters, his hands starting to shake with a sudden frantic tremor. Total paralysis hits Seo Choi instantly. The demon sneers, reminding him that in this dog-eat-dog world, the weak are just snacks. Glancing at his hand, he sighs that things might have been different if Seo Choi actually knew how to unlock that arm artifact. That precious photo of him and his mom slips away, hitting the dirt. Right then, the massive serpent looms over them again. The demon warns him against repeating past blunders. Gritting his teeth, Seo Choi fights the paralysis, desperate for just one opening. Seeing the gap, the snake unhinges its jaws for the kill. Seo Choi drops his head, focusing every fiber of his being. Channeling every scrap of his willpower, he squeezes his fist shut, condensing his last bit of energy into one point. The serpent feels the sudden spike in pressure and freezes. Before it can react, Su Choi detonates a colossal wave of force. The blast vaporizes everything. Bloody and gasping for air, Su Choi struggles to stay upright, his lungs burning with every breath. The explosion shreds the concrete ceiling, punching a massive crater into the parking deck above. Peering through the debris, the snake hisses that was a near miss. Instantly, it lunges back, striking Su Choi with the force of a freight train. Su Choi's body is sent flying, crashing hard against the wall. Even the demon is stunned. He moved while poisoned. Flicking its tongue, the beast stalks its prey. But suddenly, the hilt of an exotic blade manifests out of nowhere. It is buried deep in the monster's spine. The serpent recoils in shock, staring at the wound it did not even feel. The divine lightning of the supreme god crackles. From the bleeding gash, a feather-shaped relic begins to glow and emerge. Light bursts from the wound. The beast shatters the silence with a soul-piercing scream as white-hot energy consumes its entire form. A voice echoes, "Your time isn't up yet." A mysterious masked figure steps out, calling the monsters literal pieces of trash. Still impaled, the demon scoffs at the dramatic entrance. He grins, genuinely curious how they tracked him down so fast. It took some time, but the masked stranger finally draws his blade. One look tells you this is no average shaman. The demon bites his lip, realizing that if he keeps stalling, he is going to end up as a permanent resident of hell. That Pega kid is a headache, but if the other one shows up, he's cooked. Clinging to his mangled hand, he panics. He is fuming at his own stupidity for getting caught. Suddenly, the masked man's instincts flare. Something huge is shifting. The demon hacks up a pool of dark blood. Out of the gore, an abomination rises. "Saved this for the festival," he sneers. With a heavy thud, the titan steps between them. The demon brags that this beast was a legend in the West. "A true spiritual grade," he beams. "Have fun playing with my pet. He is a real challenge, do you not think?" He bows out, claiming he has a date to finish eating Su Choi's soul. Meanwhile, the monster unhinges its massive maw. The beast readies a killing strike, but the masked man is faster. He blurs toward the titan like a streak of lightning. He vaults over the massive beast with ease. The demon's jaw drops as the fight takes a sharp, unexpected turn. Blink and you miss it, the masked man is behind the demon. He drives his steel through the fiend, watching him collapse. Su Choi can only watch, completely stunned. The stranger looms over. "Start talking if you want to keep breathing." Su Choi asks, "What are you doing in this hellhole?" At the sound of his voice, the masked man freezes, his entire posture changing instantly. "No way," the man mutters in total disbelief. Su Choi's eyes widen. He knows that voice. He reaches toward his face. The mask falls, revealing Yusun's face underneath. He looks just as shocked, demanding to know why Siu is even there. Speechless, Su Choi just sighs. It is a long story. Together they start navigating the wreckage of the dark parking garage. Yusun checks the demon's corpse before rushing back to Siu's side, his voice full of genuine worry as he calls him. Yusun grips him tight, demanding to know what's wrong, while the demon gasps for its final breaths nearby. Sio tells him to hold on a sec. Recognizing an awakening ability, Yusun orders him to stay silent. Watching the toxin dissolve, Yusun commands Seo to stay put. Then, out of nowhere, the gashes and every trace of poison vanishes. Shock hits Yusun as he realizes Seo is actually regenerating at an insane speed. He glances back, catching a glimpse of a creepy flicker in the shadows. The beaten demon's remains start crawling away through the dirt, desperate to flee. It leaves a gruesome crimson streak in its wake, disappearing into the void. Both boys stare as Yusun grumbles about letting their target slip through their fingers. Back outside, he checks on Seo's condition. Drained Seo hits him with a sassy comeback, asking how he looks. Chuckling, Seo roasts his half-goblin bestie for losing the prey. Yusun curses his own skills for being so slow. He finally gets the full picture now. That's when Seo brings up the hidden truth behind the training facility. Nodding, Yusun admits Seo would have called him insane if he had spilled the beans any sooner. He drops a bombshell. This chaos ends in 6 months. Seeing Yusun knows about the upcoming festival, Seo questions the sudden human casualties. Yusun explains that demons usually keep their distance, making this very weird. Confused, Seo demands answers. With a dead serious look, Yusun reveals the demons are literally harvesting humans to claim the throne as the new king. Missing persons reports have skyrocketed lately. It all points to one thing. This is their first open move. Without warning, Yusun lunges for him, leaving Seo totally baffled by the sudden grab. Boom, a massive blast cuts their talk short. Rattled by the sudden ambush, the air fills with smoke. Yusun screams Seo's name, pure panic in his voice. Suddenly, Solmi appears, offering a clumsy apology and checking him. Blade drawn, Yusun commands her to freeze. Feeling the murderous intent, Solmi instinctively retreats, eyes wide. Terrified, she stays back. Yusun warns her 1 more inch, and he'll end her life right then and there. Seo tries to step in, but Yusun snaps. She's a demon. He admits she's been following the rules so far. That's why he only gave a warning, but he makes it clear any fallout is now Seo's responsibility. He brings up the qualification again, asking if Seo truly gets the stakes. Yusun reminds him, these beasts devour humans for power. Gripping his steel, he declares Seo is human and owes her nothing. Fuming, he vows to never let them lay a finger on his friend. Solmi finally realizes that, to Seo, this whole mess feels like an unfair tragedy. But Seo's name is already etched onto the demon realm's hit list. Defying the laws would ruin them both. She knows she has to move before this situation turns into a bloodbath. Still, taking on a high-tier shaman solo is risky. Determination in her eyes, she apologizes as a guardian she must. Secure the target. Leveling his sword, Yusun notes that she's clearly chosen to disregard his deadly threat. Before he can strike, Seo Choi smacks his arm away. The sheer force sends Yusun tumbling back in total shock. Swiftly, Seo lunges for the dropped blade. He snatches the weapon up before Yusun can even process what happened. While his friend is still down, Seo examines the steel. He notes the weird, glowing engravings etched into the metal. Scrambling up, Yusun demands an explanation for the betrayal. Seo calmly agrees that demons slaughter others for raw power, just to evolve. Then he drops a massive truth bomb. He actually ate a demon today. Yusun is frozen in horror. He killed to survive and protect his family. Now he declares he'll keep devouring demons until he's strong enough. Desperate, Yusun begs him to stop. He argues that his own shaman powers are enough to handle the threats. He can guard Seo and his mom alone. Cutting him off, Seo slams the sword deep into the asphalt between them. He tells him he's got one more crazy thing to announce. With a confident smirk playing on his lips, he proclaims his ultimate goal: he will become the next Demon King. The silence that follows is deafening. Yusun is left speechless, his brain short-circuiting. Even Solmi is stunned into a dead silence by his bold claim. Yusun asks if he's lost his mind, but Seo shrugs. He's just winging it. Tightening his grip, he adds, this is his shot to stop his nightmares from coming true. He tells Yusun to stop looking so devastated. This is his life now, and he'd rather be the predator than the prey. With unshakable resolve, he declares, he's seeing this plan through to the end. Speechless, Yusun can only grit his teeth in frustration, processing the gravity of the choice. Letting out a sigh, he hands the blade back to Seo Choi. Cross that line, and I'll end you myself, he growls. Seo nods, accepting that betrayal equals a death sentence. If he fails, he's ready to pay with his life. Finished, Yusun stoops to retrieve his mask from the mud. Turning back, he asks her name. I'm Solmi, she whispers as he slips the mask back on. He offers a dry apology for the shamanic intervention. Even demons have rules they can't afford to break. Then, invoking the chief shaman's name, he vows a bloodbath for every single person responsible. Catch you later, he tells Seo, ensuring his mom's safety. Then he turns and fades into the night. Trembling, she wonders if all shamans are this lethal. Nah, he replies. Yusun is just built different. He's a special case among monsters. Solmi turns, accusing Goyu of stalking her. He admits he had no choice. Charging in head first was a death wish, he warns. A mystic-level demon would have turned her into lunch. Seo bows in greeting, and Goyu recognizes the infamous half-goblin. He begins his lecture on bestial demon biology. Most are just instinct-driven animals. However, elite demons disguise themselves as legendary mythical beasts to hide their power. He reveals there are entities who even surpass their divine origins, beings that once ruled over all life. Ancient legends worshipped by both races. With a sharp, predatory grin, he finally drops the mystery. Call me Go-Yo. Then the warning, I'm the hurdle you're destined to overcome, Seo Choi. Finally, we meet. Utterly confused, Seo reaches out his hand, moving on autopilot to return the gesture. No, stay away. Solmi's scream pierces the silence, desperate to stop him from touching the monster. Seo glances back, bewildered. She barks at the demon, demanding to know what he wants with her friend. Not interested, Go-Yo smirks. He clamps onto Seo's hand, finding the boy's vibe surprisingly entertaining. Watch this, he whispers, activating a stolen skill. A spatial rift tears open, dragging them into the void. Solmi dives for the portal, but it vanishes. Suddenly, they're standing on the shores of a silent lake. Seo staggers as they land, his internal compass spinning. He fights to keep his footing in this new world. You've got a solid core, Go-Yo notes. Most would be catatonic after a sudden spatial warp like that. So, are you eating me? Seo asks. Yep, but first you a gamer, Go-Yo asks with a casual shrug. He's talking consoles and controllers. Seo admits he was a middle school pro before high school hit hard. He prefers action RPGs over anything else. Online multiplayer? Definitely not his cup of tea. Go-Yo's face splits into a massive, thrilled grin. A massive blast tears through the spot he occupied heartbeats ago. Barely evading the fireball, he skids across the dirt, narrowly escaping the carnage. Suddenly, a colossal, jagged glacier surges from the lake's center, spotting the lethal spike. He bolts for the tree line's safety. But more ice spears launch from the depths, homing in on him like supersonic missiles. The frozen shards detonate on impact, unleashing a devastating shockwave. Watching the chaos unfold from afar, Goyu wears a sinister grin. Assessing the damage, he notes Siu's insane reflexes. The demon clearly anticipated the strike before it even landed. Siu knows he can't stay on the run forever. It's time to counterattack, genuinely impressed. Goyu concedes that Siu is terrifyingly talented for a newbie. His true ace, an uncanny god-tier ability to adapt mid-combat. Scarred by past traps, his guard is now ironclad. His gaze sharpens with lethal intent, signaling he's prepared for any hell Goyu unleashes. He recalls a vital lesson from today's earlier clash, finding his solution. Lunging forward, he channels every ounce of power into a devastating surge. It's the Destroyer Armor's hidden might, a relic that detonates demonic energy upon contact. A thick shroud of ash billows, swallowing the battlefield whole. The apartment skirmish taught him a hard truth: never celebrate until the body drops. He keeps his focus locked, refusing to relax. Glowing orbs of doom suddenly streak through the haze toward him. He quickly grasps that he's finally mastering his inner power. An electric jolt, sharp as a lightning bolt, ignites deep within his core. His reserves sit at roughly 60%. That heavy hitter drained 10, while the smaller bursts only cost him 3. He fears hitting 0 will leave him paralyzed again. As the battlefield fog clears, Goyu emerges completely unscathed. He admits he slept on Siu's skills, as the boy crushed the first defensive phase effortlessly. Siu questions if this is a real hunt. The bloodlust feels fake this time. Goyu is a terrible actor when it comes to malice. Goyu laughs off the idea of eating him. Instead, he asks if Siu understands the weight of a true demon king. Selecting royalty through a violent brawl seems absurd, yet it's a sacred, unbreakable tradition among their kind. Ruled by primal urges, demons would spiral into madness without a ruler. Thus, their forebears forged a vital safety net, the Demon King, a supreme authority to stop the race from annihilating itself into extinction. This monarch maintains order to keep the species alive. For 10,000 years, Goyu explains, the system worked perfectly, but the current ruler is a failure. Goyu asks him to envision a king banning humans from eating meat. Siu scoffs that nobody would listen, but Goyu reveals the demons actually obeyed. Dismissively, he breaks down the gravity of their legacy. Staring Siu down, he warns that their people's patience has hit its limit. Siu realizes another restrictive king will trigger a revolt. Impressed by his sharp intuition, Goyu warns that compliance is dead. Even with godlike strength, the king can't suppress a kingdom-wide uprising. That spark will burn the throne to ashes. Pacing slowly, he hopes. Siu grasps the stakes. He adds a warning: traditionalists might kill Siu just for hearing these forbidden truths. Recalling Dion, he sees the source of Siu's defiant optimism. Dropping into a combat-ready pose, Siu asks if he should retract his words. Goyu grins, admitting his first instinct was to pulverize him. Instead, he offers a partnership to rule together. Siu Choi bluntly asks just how much power Goyu actually wields. Doubting his claim to the throne, Goyu admits he's not the absolute peak, but he towers over every other contender. Siu nods silently, closing the distance between them. He reaches out, offering a handshake to solidify their new pact. Agreeing to the deal, he demands a vow to safeguard his followers. Goyu beams, claiming he knew they'd vibe perfectly, as they lock hands. But Siu warns him that this choice is only to keep his own conscience clean. Tightening his grip, he suddenly floods his rival with a torrent of dark energy. Sensing the betrayal, Goyu scoffs that Siu was the one talking trash the entire time. He protests that Siu struck first, using the handshake as a lethal bait. Clinging to his robes, Siu's combat form surges with newfound intensity. He burns through his final reserves. This isn't just survival instinct, it's a calculated, cold-blooded execution. Pivoting with violent force, he hurls Goyu through the air. With zero hesitation, he executes the strike with surgical precision. The collision triggers a massive eruption across the lake, sending a wall of steam and debris skyward. A shockwave of pure power ripples out. Collapsed on the turf, Siu Choi gasps for air, utterly spent. He questions why his body is trembling so violently. Drained of every drop, he realizes he's hit his limit. After exhausting every last drop of mana, Seo Choi looks up to see Goyu looming over him with a smirk. Goyu commends his effort, but notes the massive gap in their raw energy was the true deciding factor. He asks if Seo Choi has any final words. The boy simply declines, fully prepared for the dark consequences. Meanwhile, Goyu locks eyes with his fallen challenger and slowly raises a devastating final fist. "Don't expect me to beg," Seo Choi growls. He ignores the pain, searching for any tiny opening to strike. Goyu sneers, mocking the boy for acting tough while he can barely even keep his balance. Sweat beads on Seo Choi's brow. Then the tension snaps as Goyu offers a surprisingly friendly hand. He pats Seo Choi's shoulder, declaring he passed. He laughs, genuinely impressed by the kid's incredible stamina. Goyu explains he was merely testing his worth. Seo Choi blinks, confused by this sudden promise of support. But Goyu confirms it. The terrifying night of demons is coming, and they aren't exactly ready for it. A flashback reveals a younger Goyu who always despised the mindless chaos of the demon realm. Compared to home, the human world is a peaceful paradise where people actually know how to chill. Their useless hobbies are what make life vibrant. Losing such a world would be a total tragedy. Seo Choi understands the logic, but he still doesn't see why Go Yu is backing him specifically. As for the throne, Go Yu couldn't care less about being king despite having the best shot. There's a catch. The strongest contenders all hail from ancient elite clans. In this world, bloodline magic and heritage trump everything. It's basically a rigged game. It's the ultimate silver spoon, he explains. Seo Choi asks if his family is breathing down his neck. It's more like being choked, Go Yu admits, describing the suffocating expectations of the full moon. Representatives have zero freedom. If they fail, the clan simply replaces them with a new puppet. Having your own family against you is brutal, but Seo Choi realizes he's a different breed entirely. Go Yu strikes a pose, shouting that Seo Choi is special. He has talent without those clan shackles. As a crow flies past, Go Yu insists that Seo Choi is the only one who can do this. Wait up, Seo Choi yells. He needs time to process these sudden life-changing revelations. Go Yu grins, acknowledging the kid's confusion. But the peaceful moment is shattered instantly. Seolmi drops from the sky and slams a heavy strike right onto Go Yu's skull. Pure fury blazes in her eyes as her paw connects squarely with his arrogant face. Seo Choi stands frozen in shock, unable to even process the absolute chaos unfolding. Go Yu is sent flying across the dark sky, crashing violently into the distant forest. Seo Choi rushes to stop her, but Seolmi is already raining down a barrage of lethal feathers. A massive explosion rocks the trees. Seo Choi approaches the smoking crater, searching for any sign of him. Relax, she huffs. The attack didn't even land. That slippery snake already made his escape. Seo Choi is baffled. She explains that wasn't the real Go Yu, just his darker personality. She dives into the lore of the Black Tortoise, which actually started as a humble, ordinary creature. Legend tells of a genius who mastered pure yin energy, eventually transcending his physical limits. He ascended as the first Black Tortoise. Now his descendants inherit that god-tier divine power. But becoming complete requires brutal training. That snake-like persona, it's just a selfish, cold side effect. Pure yin energy makes that personality calculating and completely indifferent to the feelings of others. Usually the snake is just a submissive strategist. But Go Yu's situation is far more dangerous. His snake can hijack his body whenever it wants. It's why the higher-ups distrusted him. Seo Choi stands up, ready to move. They really need to get going now. He promises there won't be any trouble for the delay, trying to ease her worries. Seolmi stares at the wrecked balcony, terrified of how her mother will react to the damage. Suddenly, Mungtai appears, promising a full restoration by dawn. Seo Choi's calm vibe is genuinely jarring. She tries to apologize for the misunderstanding, but the conversation is cut short. He demands a private word, with Siu leaving the duo stunned. His gaze drifts away. Mongtae reveals another guest awaits. Stepping inside, he dryly notes, "This is how mortals reside." Seolhwa finds the vibe surprisingly cozy. Startled, he spins around, questioning if she even has clearance. She admits she doesn't. Explaining she was forced here, she claims Mongtae dragged her along. Seolhwa's gaze intensifies, demanding answers. He relents, recounting the chaos that erupted at dusk. 50 kobolds ambushed the city. They assumed it was bait to flush out Siu and Solmi. Solmi questions the motive, but the truth drops. Seo was the mark. Seolhwa watches, arms folded. This was a move in a deadlier game. Mongtae reveals 200 humans vanished instantly. Seoul's streets ran cold that night. He suspects the true body count exceeds 500. Stunned, Solmi realizes at least 5 high-level demons were involved. He pivots back. The crime scene hid a grim reality. Foreign demons have breached Korea's borders to hunt. Humanity is now prey. Sensing the danger, she warns this massacre won't end easily. Not until the grand festival. The exams were weeks away, but time has run out. The crisis is critical. He offers an immediate, unorthodox test. His expression turns deadly serious. Their objective: exterminate every invading demon in Korea. The screen fades to black. Dawn breaks over the skyline. Yusun paces the streets, haunted by how he abandoned Siu. Guilt gnaws at him until Siu Choi suddenly appears out of thin air. He jokes about finding his way to school. But Siu's tone shifts. Everything is different now. Inside a cafe, Yusun's scream shatters the peace. He explodes at Siu Choi in disbelief. He demands to know if Siu's lost his mind. Patrons cower as Siu urges him to chill. "Keep it down, man." Siu insists he's okay and that this deal is actually a win. He can finally protect his mom. Yusun facepalms, asking if Siu even knows his own rank. Siu lists 5 bizarre titles he overheard. Yusun sighs. Those aren't names, they're classifications. The 5 tiers of demonkind. He starts with beasts, the bottom of the food chain. He continues. They're lethal, but only as much as a rabid predator. He adds that prepared mortals can handle them with decent gear. But anything above that rank is a death sentence. Normal humans stand 0 chance. A demon rank possesses the raw power of 100 men. Siu pales, asking about the higher tiers. Yusun's answer is simple: they are walking catastrophes. Mystic classes are 10 times deadlier. They can turn a city into a graveyard by dawn. Divine and spirit ranks, don't even look at them. He offers his home as a sanctuary. These invaders are mystic-level threats. Yusun asks what rank Siu thinks that snake was. It was barely demon rank. If that thing had actually focused its energy, we'd be dead. We wouldn't be breathing. Yet Siu was nearly lunch for a bottom-tier weakling. He reminds Siu that he's just a low-tier demon himself. Snap out of it, man. Stay out of this mess. Siu crosses his arms, challenging Yusun to say that again. Siu smirks, confident he can win a rematch. He was weak then, but he's evolved. He's mastered his combat flow and energy. He stands ready to prove his newfound strength. Siu apologizes for the delay, but Yusun's ditching to beat some sense into him. They reach the legendary Olympic Arena. This iconic landmark hides a secret beneath its floors. Deep in the basement, Siu Choi discovers a high-tech training facility that leaves him speechless. Is this your family's? No, it's government-funded. Siu's jaw hits the floor. Korea's elite have always used shamans. Actually, shamans might have built this nation themselves. The royal bloodline established a secret agency specifically to forge elite shamans. Centuries ago, tossing his blazer, he confirms the state knows everything about the demonic threat. It's a secret world mortals ignore. Siu squares up, daring Yusun to make his move. Yusun declares all bets are off and steps back, promising no more interference. Seo Choi eyes him, puzzled by his empty hands. No blade, he smirks. Apparently going bare-handed is the only thing keeping this fight from ending in a second. Without his sacred relics, his aura is nerfed by half, yet he guarantees he can still crush a high-tier demon. Unarmed and unfazed, he warns that if Seo actually wins, he'll officially be more dangerous than a literal monster. What's the holdup? Bring it, Yusun goads. Seo's fingers twitch as he readies his opening gambit. Yusun's gaze turns ice-cold, locking onto his target. So Choi explodes forward, closing the distance in a flash. He throws a heavy haymaker, but Yusun intercepts it mid-air, shutting down the momentum like it was nothing. He counters with a palm strike to the sternum, followed by a relentless barrage of lightning-fast jabs. A brutal hook connects with Seo's jaw, sealing the combo. Yusun anchors his weight, preparing for the finisher. He unleashes a devastating roundhouse, launching Seo Choi across the room like a rag doll. The impact triggers a massive shockwave that levels the area. Yusun stands amidst the debris, scanning for movement. On the shattered concrete, silence hangs heavy as crimson droplets begin to splatter on the floor. Face battered and bloodied, Seo admits his rival is a beast. He swipes away the mess with a grimace. You're like a main character out of some webtoon, he jokes. Meanwhile, Yusun glances down at his own knuckles. Yusun realizes he's actually hurting. If he hadn't coated his hands in mana, his bones would have been dust. Realizing Seo can handle the heat, the gloves are coming off. Yusun finally sees the terrifying truth. This guy is a total menace. Without warning, Seo Choi strikes first, blitzing toward him once more. He vaults into the air for a diving strike, but Yusun sidesteps the blow with effortless grace. Speed is up, but the moves are predictable, or so he thought. Suddenly, Seo's grip clamps onto Yusun's wrist. Caught off guard, Yusun reacts instantly, pivoting his entire body to break the hold and retaliate. He drives a savage knee into Seo's face. The impact sends his head snapping back with sickening force. Using that momentum, he seizes Seo's arm and flips him over his shoulder in a high arc toss. Mid-throw, Yusun's energy surges. He manipulates his weight, executing a controlled descent toward the floor. He shatters the invisible bind holding him, regaining balance just before his boots hit the pavement. A plume of dust erupts upon landing. He emerges from the haze, perfectly poised and ready for more. Is that what I think it is? Yusun stammers. Seo Choi stabilizes the flickering energy in his palm. This is his first time manifesting this power solo. But honestly, the odds are stacked against him. He's barely holding his aura together. His body is holding up, but his combat stats are in the basement. His demonic reserves are bone dry. That previous showdown with Goyu left him running on fumes. Mana regeneration is a crawl in this realm. Ironically, being this tired is helping him tap into the zone. He'd conjured his weapon purely by instinct before. Now that same sensation is flooding back. Yusun approaches unimpressed. That's it. Your legendary weapon looks kind of mid, he taunts. Yusun coils like a spring, then launches himself upward, tracking Seo's movements from the air. This version of the blade feels fragile. But before he can react, Seo's strike connects with a roar. A violent burst of light consumes them. Yusun throws up a cross block, bracing for the impact. It's a heavy hit, but his energy shield holds firm. He hunkers down, playing the long game. He waits for Seo to burn out, but the pressure is insane. The very ceiling starts to splinter and crack. Seo Choi lashes out with a glowing whip. Right on schedule, he grins. Yusun blinks, totally lost. You can't tank these hits forever, Seo chirps. He tightens his grip, the weapon humming with malice. It's smaller and weaker than before, but size doesn't matter when you can shapeshift the damn thing. "Watch this," he shouts, blurring across the battlefield as his weapon begins to morph. Yusun braces for impact. Seo collapses the whip into a dense sphere and fires it like a cannonball. Yusun catches the brunt of it, teeth grit, as he fights against the crushing weight of the blast. The force skids him back, carving trenches in the floor as a tsunami of energy washes over him. Not letting up for a second, Seo Choi resets his stance and vaults backward to reset the fight. Suddenly, Seo's strike detonates against the earth, erupting in a massive blast. Stunned, Yusun realizes the attack's lethality has doubled, all from one adjustment. Twirling his blade, Seo readies his stance while Yusun snarls at him to quit the mind games. He claims this is a trial to gauge his demon-slaying potential. Speechless Yusun realizes every word is the cold truth. Smirking, Seo Choi suggests that if he can't handle it, owning up to his blunder is always an option. Fuming, Yusun barks back. He insists it's not his fault for playing outside the script. Glancing up, he questions if this is Seo's true intention. Yusun warns the gloves are coming off, but Seo just sneers. Another strike hits the turf, triggering a violent detonation. Brandishing his steel, he unleashes a flurry of blows across the field. Violent strikes hammer into the arena floor. A storm of explosions ignites everywhere. As the tempo accelerates, Yusun finds himself struggling to evade the relentless onslaught. It hits him. Seo is mimicking his rhythm with terrifying speed. With steady nerves, Seo crafts a devastating new technique. Is this another trick? With zero time to react, Yusun raises a shield, only to be slammed violently into the stone wall. The impact triggers a colossal blast, swallowing the entire zone in smoke. Shouting over the noise, Seo checks if Yusun is alive. He barely dodged by a hair's breadth. Nearby, the energy blade screams through the air with lethal velocity. Cornered, Yusun chants an ancient spell, summoning a celestial spirit from the beyond. He binds the spirit to his will. Channeling the captured essence like a longbow, he prepares to let loose a shimmering spirit arrow. Launched with thunderous force, the projectile streaks across the battlefield toward his rival. Sensing the danger, Seo freezes. Despair washes over Seo. Suddenly, the arrow severs the tether holding him. His energy weapon crumbles into dust. He scrambles back to regain his footing. Wasting no time, he manifests a fresh blade to resume the hunt. Looking away, Yusun braces for the next assault. He dives aside narrowly, avoiding a lethal sphere of energy. Invoking a spirit, he prepares to fight despite lacking his shamanic gear. Because of this handicap, he's limited. Most of his powerful spells are locked away. Hitting the ground, Seo regrips his energy blade for the final clash. He struggles to harness the raw power surging through his palm. Fusing the energies, a radiant spirit sword emerges. Readying for the kill, Seo charges forward with his improvised weapon to strike Yusun down. The two blades collide, sparking a gargantuan explosion of pure mana. The spirit sword slices through Seo's weapon like paper. It shatters into pieces. Yet before the finishing blow, he wavers. This is his friend. He grits his teeth. He must follow through exactly because of their bond. Clenching his fist, Seo Choi readies one last desperate gambit. Eyes wide, Yusun flinches, unable to cut him. Seizing the opening, Seo Choi connects a brutal punch to his jaw. After the hit, Yusun hits the dirt, while Seo Choi looks on bewildered. He demands to know why Yusun threw the fight. He denies it. Sprawled on the ground, he explains it was his ultimate spell. That blow obliterated his own weapon. It was a strike meant to slay ancient demons. But Yusun reveals the spell recognized him as a human, not a monster. Still grounded, he mutters that life just isn't fair. The scene fades to black. Sunlight spills over the city as the morning hustle begins. Walking down the pavement, Yusun appears with a bandage plastered over his nose. Sensing Seo's anxiety, he tells him to just spit it out. Seo Choi nervously asks if his nose is ruined, or if he'll scar. He laughs it off, claiming he heals fast. Besides, Seo held back. He adds that his face would have been crushed if his friend hadn't pulled that punch. Sighing, he admits Seo passed the test. When Seo thanks him, he's reminded it was just part of the deal. Suddenly, Yusun hands him a mystery item. Examining them, Seo sees what look like vibrant miniature gourd bottles. Yusun explains they're essentially portable spirit bombs. Just grip it and shout a command or smash it on the floor. Thanking him, he worries if Yusun is okay giving away 3 of them. Seo notes they must be a nightmare to craft with that much mana. Surprised, Yusun asks how he knew. Peering at the gourds, Seo says the energy is palpable. The vibe is identical to the power he felt during their duel. These tricolored gourds are sacred family artifacts. A shaman meticulously pours their spiritual essence into the gourd over time. With these, anyone can unleash devastating high-level spells. Blown away, Yusun grabs Seo's hand. He's shocked, he sensed the mana. Seo is lost as Yusun starts babbling about palmistry. Grasping his friend's hand, he says one thing is certain. Seo Choi is a once-in-a-generation genius. Yusun's jaw drops at the boy's insane spiritual aura. He's completely shook, but Seo Choi remains clueless about his own hidden power. Yusun figures any master would beg to train him, but then reality hits. So carries the dark mark of a demon. He buries his face in his hands, spiraling. The old-school elders will never accept this, and things are about to get ugly. Not going to lie, if it wasn't you, I'd hate this too, Yusun admits, thrusting the gourds back with a heavy sigh. He warns that the road ahead is pure hell. Scoffing, Seo asks if his friend suddenly became a psychic. With his return date, a total mystery, Seo decides a fresh uniform is priority number 1. He starts walking. Noting that even his feet have shrunk, it's totally cursed. Yusun grins, imagining their classmates having an absolute meltdown. Staring at his new tiny frame, Seo realizes his buddy is low-key enjoying this chaotic situation. Checking his screen, Yusun realizes his stomach is screaming. It's definitely time to grab some fuel. Seo suggests hitting his place instead. He's hyped for that legendary bacon fried rice Yusun mastered before. Yusun shuts it down. He's got a sleepy guest at home. Plus, he has a massive post-lunch rendezvous scheduled. Understanding the vibe, Seo simply nods. Yusun lets out a breath, telling him not to let the stress win. Reminded of their pact, Seo decides to rain-check the meal. He glances away, shifting his focus. Keep your chin up and walk tall, Yusun advises. With a final wave, the two friends split up. After the talk, Seo hits a new neighborhood, staring at his phone and questioning if his GPS is tripping. He halts before a massive, intimidating steel gate. As he tries to read the sign, the hinges groan open. A man emerges, locking eyes with the newcomer. Immediately, Seo senses a terrifying heavy vibration in the air. This guy is an absolute beast, a high-level demon. Without a single word, the man glides past him into the night. Suddenly, a woman's voice cuts through the silence, asking if it's his first time in this mysterious realm. Meet Hong Ryan, the house's vice chief. Seo gives a respectful bow and introduces himself to the lady. He mentions Judge Meng Tai sent him. Confirming she's already briefed, she gestures for him to follow her inside. They descend into a dim corridor thick with oppressive energy. As they walk, a dark cloud seems to swallow them. His boots splash into a literal puddle of shadows. He turns his head and his jaw hits the floor. The hallway opens into a breathtaking glowing palace. Once inside, the sound of tea hitting ceramic fills the room. Sinking into his seat, he sips the tea while scanning the area. Are we still in Seoul? He asks. The air is crisp and pure. She confirms they're in a pocket dimension, sliced away from the human world. This place is a halfway house for demons to adjust. Suddenly, Seo remembers the advice he was given. Meng Tai promised this trip would be a total game changer. Suddenly, 2 scrolls manifest out of thin air. At the desk, he asks about using his demon coins. She explains that most visitors swap them for cash. For the human world, 1 single coin equals 3 million won. Seo's eyes go wide at the value. She notes the exchange fees are already handled. Seo starts doing the mental math and his heart races. He's basically sitting on a gold mine. She stands up, offering a tour of the premium items he can buy. She signals an assistant to show Seo the goods. A heavy chest opens, revealing glowing, multicolored demon pills. These are energy boosters. Normally, a demon's natural recovery speed is absolute trash in this realm. Using secret herbs and ancient methods, they've perfected mono restoration. Seo is instantly hooked. Do the colors matter? He asks. She explains it's all about rank, from silver to the elite tiers. She points to the black one, the ultimate recovery. Seo doesn't hesitate. He demands the black pill immediately. The kick happens fast, she warns, explaining that crystal size and absorption rate are the only things that matter. Size comes with age or hunting, but absorption, that's pure talent. You can't just train that kind of gift. She secretly thinks a half-demon like him will take days just to process that much raw energy. Seo pops the pill instantly. He has no clue the power inside is about to overflow his entire system. That one pill contains enough energy to fill his crystal 4 times. Suddenly, a blinding light engulfs him. The energy detonates. A violent explosion rips through the center of the luxurious high-end palace, but the released energy perfectly matches his crystal size. The lady is left floored by what she sees. This is impossible, she shrieks. In seconds, he devoured more energy than his crystal should ever handle. Drenched in sweat, he admits the pill's power made his 3rd day as a demon feel strangely familiar. Just moments ago in the Yanghoi Annex, an overwhelming power surged far past his natural limits. Tranquility filled the air until an attendant, bottle in hand, politely asked if the guest enjoyed his wine. Dong Hu beams, noting the vintage was curated for this visit. The young master scoffs that it's simply decent. Yet he sneers at being served by a man demanding Hong Ryan's presence and smelling a blatant insult. A flustered Dong Hu begs for patience, stuttering that some urgent matter must have held the lady up. The truth slips out. She is currently hosting a special guest, handpicked by Judge Meng Tai himself. Hearing the guest is a mere half-goblin, the young master scoffs, unable to fathom why such trash gets priority. Mang Tai is obsessed with that lineage, refusing to acknowledge the boy as a demon while questioning his stay. Met with stone-cold silence, the young master sneers, asking if they have finally grown bored of playing servant. He mocks the idea of offending a half-demon, smirking as he recalls the dirty rumors surrounding the place. House Yang Hoi is just a den of mutts, miserable half-breeds, rejected by both the human and demon realms. Gripping his robes, he dismisses their struggle as a desperate survival tactic, flashing a cruel, predatory grin. "You will never be true demons," he spits, locking eyes with Dong Hu to demand his forced agreement. Dong Hu simply notes that outcasts like them cannot foresee their destiny, calmly taking a slow sip. Bored by the stoic response, the young master sighs, asking exactly when he can finally blow this joint. Dong Hu promises everything concludes today, detailing the final steps of the plan regarding his new identity. His new home is set. Dong Hu claims they rushed because he is a rare protector of humanity. Cackling, the master clarifies he does not save humans out of kindness, he has his own selfish agenda. This is his shot at glory in the grand festival, proving he is just as gifted as his elder brothers. He is just the younger one. Slamming his cup down, he demands the recognition a true candidate deserves. As Dong Hu rises, the young master halts him, claiming he has reserved a special task for the lady. He drops the bombshell he wants Hong Ryan serving right by his side in the human realm. No distractions allowed, he needs to stay laser-focused on slaughtering every single demon invader he finds. He issues a final warning, do not make a noble repeat himself to mere lowly merchants. Dong Hu starts a message for Hong Ryan, but a violent blast nearby cuts him off instantly. Jolted from their talk, both men whip their heads toward the sound. Through the glass, they witness chaos. The neighboring roof is literally buckling. What the hell was that? The young master barks, completely baffled. They feel the tremor. Philosophy dictates energy flows like water, making life nothing more than a shallow puddle. Water ebbs and flows, a cosmic law governing every soul, whether they be human or demonic. A vessel can only hold so much. As that truth sinks in, Seo Choi approaches the fallen woman. He offers a quick apology for the blast. Reeling on the floor, she marvels at the pill's terrifying potency. He feels unstoppable, like he could crush the world. Dazed, she asks what sparked such insane destruction. Before she can finish, the young master storms in, snarling at the boy's total lack of etiquette for ruining the peace. Panicking, she rushes forward, claiming full accountability for her guest's reckless actions. "Shut it," he snaps, silencing her mid-plea. "Do you really take me for some brainless idiot?" He clearly felt the kid's demonic aura radiating from the blast. Does she really think he will just ignore it? Ignoring this mess isn't an option. Hong Ryan bows low in apology, as Seo Choi slowly turns around. He admits he has not mastered his demonic output, yet offering a half-hearted apology for the sudden chaos. As he tries to clarify, the master smirks, warning that he despises the brat's arrogant tone. Gritting his teeth, the master demands a repeat. Grinning, Seo Choi offers an apology with a twist. He is sorry for the blast, but calls him a total asshole instead. The master snaps, launching an attack. A flick of his fingers sends a shockwave slamming into Seo Choi, blasting him into the courtyard's stone. Rubble flies everywhere. Paralyzed by shock, Hong Ryan watches the destruction unfold, her feet glued to the ground. "Stay out of this," the master warns. "This isn't a brawl, it is a lesson in manners." As Seo Choi recovers, the master points his finger again, delivering another brutal blow to the boy's face. Hong Ryan lunges forward, screaming for peace, but invisible strikes hammer her body instead. She collapses, coughing up blood as the master sighs in annoyance. He warned her not to interfere. Looking at her, he claims she's just another broken soul deep down. Confused, she reels from the invisible strike as the young master unveils his secret technique. It's his clan's forbidden art. He demands Seo kneel, but the boy spits back a sharp insult. Tossing his coat aside, he slams the brat for preaching manners while attacking like a coward. Squaring up, he decides the young master needs to be schooled. Challenge accepted with a sneer. He promises a world of pain. Immediately, Seo Choi starts parrying every single strike effortlessly. Jaws drop as Hung Ryan watches him shut down the assault. Seo mocks the high-speed water magic. The first strike used spilt tea on the floor. Once he saw the trick, it was over. Now every droplet in the air is visible. He can weaponize anything, even the morning dew. This vibe feels familiar, reminds him of a much stronger foe he crushed just yesterday. He scoffs, calling the young master a complete joke. "Don't take it personally," he smirks. As his opponent freezes in fear, Seo's aura explodes. The brat snarls out, a slur half-breed. Fury burns through his veins. Gritting his teeth, Seo explodes forward to end this little game. He charges like a lightning bolt, cold eyes dissecting every movement of his enemy. Trash energy control. He slips the blow easily, mocking how predictable the attack really was. The young master stands paralyzed. Before he can blink, Seo makes his next move. A devastating gut punch lands. Hung Ryan watches in absolute horror, her voice completely gone. Looming over him, he reminds the loser that he's nothing but weak. Absolute silence follows. This is impossible. This unknown demon just dismantled an elite technique without breaking a sweat. He predicted the energy flow masking his own strike until the very last millisecond. A sudden shift in power. A decisive blow connects. The young master is slammed into the dirt. Seo Choi stands tall, unchallenged. She can't believe this goblin descendant appeared only 4 days ago. How could a rookie demon be this deadly? His battle IQ is on a different level. Seo demands an apology. No excuses. On the ground, the young master trembles in pure terror. Speechless and broken, Seo points to the girl, reminding him she only wanted the violence to stop. He orders the brat to crawl and beg. With a cold smirk, Seo Choi looms like death. The brat can't even breathe. Before he can even squeak, Seo vanishes into a blur of speed. He shatters an incoming crystal mid-air. Desperate, the young master lunges for one final strike. Seo glides through the air, dodging by a hair's breadth as the counterattack begins. He slams his fist down. The earth shatters, unleashing a shockwave that levels the entire area. The young master is launched through a roof. Blood splatters the floorboards as he collapses inside. He crawls up, a twisted smile forming. It's time to show the real horror of his art. Blood leaks from Seo's eyes. The water pressure is being dialed up to a lethal degree. It's a liquid blade. He's injecting water into Seo's veins like a slow-acting deadly poison. Paralysis sets in. Seo barely stays upright as the young master explains his cruel internal trap. Demon healing can't touch these toxins. Seo coughs up crimson, feeling his organs start to fail. He admits he slipped up, but he wonders, is this power from blood or something more monstrous? Hung Ryeon watches from afar, her heart racing as the nightmare scenario begins to unfold. Massive amounts of water swirl. The young master vows to show him a true demon's wrath, but Seo Choi forces himself up. He doesn't give a damn about bloodlines or demon ranks. Eyes burning with hate, Seo Choi calls him what he truly is, absolute utter trash. Wait, he's healing already. The young master, fine then. He prepares to unleash his ultimate technique, pouring everything into one final kill. Water gathers from every corner. He compresses the liquid until it becomes a dense, heavy weapon. Physics don't apply. The impact of this strike will hit like a high-speed freight train. Hurling himself backward, Seo Choi braces for the Titan's onslaught. Suddenly, a crimson skill awakens from his veins. Danger vanishes as he obsesses over his blade's form. Applying combat insights, he forges the ultimate shield. That hydrosphere hurtles forward with lethal momentum. Gripping his sanguine edge, he greets the strike. His stance echoes a legendary master's ghost. But surgical precision isn't the goal here. Instead, he funnels every ounce of raw power, fixating only on pure destruction. Meanwhile, his demon crystal surges with chaotic, blinding energy. Mana overflowing, he unleashes a tangent slaying swing that cleaves the liquid orb in two. His sanguine steel carves through the deluge, erupting in a violent mist. The young master stares, horrified. The waves bypass Seo entirely, leaving him untouched. Paralyzed by shock, the noble stands amidst the wreckage. Post-impact, the landscape is a flooded wasteland. Scanning the ruin, the brat searches for his vanished foe. Suddenly, a chilling sound echoes from his blind spot. Whipping around, he finds Seo Choi lurking like a shadow. Can energy really regrow limbs? Seo mocks. With a wicked grin, Seo strikes his blade, singing a song of cold retribution. No more holding back, he growls. The young master freezes, trapped in a predator's icy gaze. A severed hand splashes into the crimson-tinged tide. Limbless, the noble crumples into the murky depths. Seo towers over the screaming mess. Painful, I thought demons were built for this kind of suffering. Looming close, Seo's eyes burn with cold indifference as the noble grovels. Zero hesitation. He slams a brutal kick into the brat's ribs, launching him through a nearby shack like trash. He quakes, but not from pain. A vision of his clan's divine statue flashes before his eyes. Spoiled and shielded as the family's youngest reality finally bites, looming over his broken body. Seo demands his long-awaited apology. Desperate, the brat reaches out as if begging for salvation. I'm sorry, he wails, but his eyes aren't on Seo, gesturing to his own chest. Seo scoffs, claiming their debt is cleared. That apology belongs to the girl you trampled on. He commands a deep bow and a genuine plea for mercy. With a lethal glare, Seo questions if the lesson finally sank in. Care for another round of pain, he threatens. Defeated, the noble crawls toward the woman. She watches, completely dumbfounded by the sight. Offering a low bow, he begs forgiveness for his arrogance. Then the atmosphere shifts. While chaos erupts outside, a parched voice from within, a quiet room, asks for water. Seola yawns, realizing the house is empty. From her bed, she wonders what trouble he's found. A mysterious white-haired visitor waits patiently for the boy's return, shocked by the humble surroundings. Director Moryong admits this is his first excursion in a decade. His assistant offers excuses, but Moryong waves them off. It wasn't your failure, he sighs. I simply misjudged the kid. He checks on Hongkyong, relieved her wounds are shallow. Yet she still feels guilty for the mayhem. Then the director recalls the secret pill. Ignorant of its instant power, she'd messed up. So, where is our little guest, he inquires. Far from the drama, Seo recovers amidst a feast laid out to restore his drained mana. In solitude, he replays the slaughter. This wasn't like his previous out-of-control rampages. This time his body obeyed. Even as power surged, his mind remained sharp and sovereign. With the surplus energy spent, his crystal cools and his frantic mind finally anchors back. He stares at his hands reeling from the shift. The door clicks shut, sealing him in silence. He rationalizes the brutality. The man was a monster. To break the spell, limbs had to fall. He'd repeat it in a heartbeat, yet a dark thrill of pleasure haunts his memory. A sudden knock shatters his dark thoughts. A soft voice asks for entry. "Come in," he calls. The door creaks as Hong Gyong gingerly approaches the table, her steps heavy with hesitation. "Are you hurt?" Siu asks. She smiles weakly, thanking him while dismissing her wounds as mere scratches. "You literally coughed up blood," he growls, refusing to ignore her wounds. Shaking, she bows low, begging for his mercy. She blames her clouded judgment, but he scoffs. "I'm the one who leveled the roof," he admits, taking the heat. Heavy with guilt, she confesses that pushing the cursed black pill was her mistake alone. Then comes the real kicker. A standard silver or gold pill would have worked. He freezes. Was this just a high-priced scam to drain his pockets? Her secret spills out. She's a half-demon, born from a forbidden union between a human father and a demon mother. These mixed bloodlines have existed for ages, caught in a limbo, where they're neither truly human nor fully demonic. She can sense power but lacks a crystal to hold it. It leaves her with a burning, unquenchable thirst for energy. No matter how much essence surrounds her, she remains empty. Even potent demon pills do absolutely nothing for her kind. "I was jealous," she whispers. To her, he's a living miracle, a human-blooded warrior possessing a demon's overwhelming prowess. Bitter that he held the power she craved, she let her green-eyed monster take the lead and played him for a fool. She prostrates herself for the ultimate sin of deception. Suddenly, a cold voice cuts through the air, mocking her apology. Murong steps out, lecturing that begging for a beatdown is just a cowardly way to dodge actual responsibility. Startled, they whip around to face the intruder. With a calm gaze, the man steps into the light to introduce himself. "The name's Murong," he states, apologizing for the day's chaos before dismissing the girl so they can talk privately. He promises to attend to the guest personally. He grants her grace, telling her to put the guilt behind her for now. But the main character isn't letting the money slide. He demands a full refund. Director Murong bows in deep respect. Grateful for his unexpected mercy, she offers a final thanks before vanishing into the shadows of the hallway. She wasn't that bad, he muses, watching her go. Shifting his focus to the director, he decides it's time for business. He calls for a mediator. Murong drops a bombshell. The punk he just thrashed was the prestigious clan's youngest heir. Munching on a snack, he shrugs. The kid was weak. But Murong warns that the young master will definitely twist the story. To stop a full-scale war, the director suggests a meeting to clear the air before the situation turns lethal. Siu Choi acknowledges the gesture, but shuts it down. He's not interested in playing politics or accepting easy favors. "Don't get your hands dirty for me," he says coolly. "If that clan wants smoke, they can come and get it." He'll face them with the raw truth. The brat chose violence over a simple sorry, and he paid the price. He only moved when forced to. He doesn't want their apologies. He prefers to settle his scores on his own terms. The director's face darkens. His older brothers are monsters, he warns, and they're far more bloodthirsty than the last guy. He doesn't flinch. He's faced far worse nightmares before. With a sharp gaze, he finally drops his ultimate endgame. "I'll fight anyone to become the Demon King," he declares. The director is floored by his insane ambition. "You don't just say that." But the boy is dead serious. He's already made peace with the fact that this ends in blood. Murong sees the iron resolve in the boy's eyes. Meanwhile, the boy just keeps snacking like he didn't just declare war. He admits the thought of such terrifying demons gives him the creeps. Murong leans in, asking if he plans to stop them. Siu laughs it off as a wild fantasy. Yet the director finds himself genuinely captivated by the young man's unpredictable nature. Murong studies him carefully while rummaging through his robes. He slams a mysterious object onto the table with a heavy thud. Siu's eyes widen in curiosity. "Consider this an olive branch," Murong explains, deciding to bet on the boy's insane potential. The world shifts as darkness swallows the city skyline. Night has officially claimed the streets outside the massive skyscraper. Finally back at the crib, he sighs over the grueling day. "What took you so long?" a sharp voice demands. He fumbles for an excuse, but Siolwa steps into view, cutting his stuttering apology short with a knowing look. "Forget the clock," she says. Fresh intel just dropped. His ears perk up. This was the news he'd been waiting for. He tries to play nice with the bird perched on her shoulder, only to get a face full of wings. "Use your brain. That's not Solmi," she scoffs. The bird takes flight, clearly offended by the boy's lack of recognition. She warns him to watch his mouth. Apparently, Solmi has a massive chip on her shoulder about her non-white plumage. Nursing his stinging cheek, he listens. That aggressive bird was actually a high-speed messenger sent straight from Solmi herself. The intel is chilling. Last month's disappearances are all clustered in specific dark corners of the urban sprawl. Those aren't just zones, they're hunting grounds, he realizes. He grabs his gear. They're launching a raid on one tonight. She stops him, insisting there's one more crucial preparation to make. He nods. It's time to lock in and get ready. A brutal right hook connects with his jaw. She notes that unannounced visits rarely yield 5-star service. She scoffs at his sweaty hoodie. Ignoring his groveling, she demands an immediate shopping spree. In the city, Seol-Hu questions the mall's prestige. He admits it is mid-tier. Magic-free towers impress her. This is his first retail mission. Seol-Hu is a nervous wreck. He has always craved style but hesitated. Fear usually paralyzed his wallet. He promised to buy clothes after slimming down. Now he is finally seizing his long-awaited dream. Hyped, he offers her a blank check. They step inside. He braces for impact. Total retail rookie. He is clueless. One glance at a price tag leaves him reeling. A clerk calls him a lucky boyfriend. She struts through aisles. Luxury prices mean nothing to her. The clerk is baffled. She emerges, transformed. The clerk gushes over the fit. She demands a verdict. Stuttering, he admits she looks incredible. The total notification leaves him paralyzed. He sighs, moving to store 2. She demands more. She grabs his face, pulling him into her space. She demands his hands. He offers them lost. Demon coins manifest instantly in his grip. She smirks. Is 10 coins enough? He stares, as she offers more. Keep the change. She pivots back to the racks. Spree continues. She poses in new threads. He calls her stunning. She tries another, seeking feedback. He praises it, yet she feels off. He collapses, confused. He is annoying her. Carrying bags, his fashion shock grows. Solmi taught her everything. Her knowledge is elite. Solmi forced fashion magazines on her. He realizes she memorized them. He speaks, but collides with a man. Chaos. He bows in apology. The man sneers and walks away. She brands humans as pathetic cowards. He bumped them first. He should have paid in blood. He protests, but she snaps back. Weakness equals death. Wimpy demons are just prey. The Hate smelled his weakness. She caught their stench from miles away. You fought the youngest son, didn't you? She deduces. She fought his sister. A rival's grudge. She crushed her. Total victory. Rumors swirl. She points. Annihilate your rivals. Violence is the ultimate deterrent. He bows, calling her ma'am. Target acquired. Suits wait in the lobby. Tension explodes. They cannot be late. Suddenly, an invisible force yanks him. The girl whirls around, eyes wide with alarm. He vanished. Gone. What just happened? She demands he stop hiding. A shadow looms nearby, stalking its next meal. The predator casually wipes its mouth. Having finished devouring her latest prey, she sits in a cafe grumbling that he tasted mid and she should have picked the girl. She slowly sips her drink, eyes tracking the oblivious crowd drifting past her. Suddenly, a young boy's eyes lock onto hers. Noticing his gaze, the demon flashes a soul-chilling, wicked grin. Terror paralyzes the child as he senses the rot. Peeling back her mask, she reveals jagged fangs and a dripping tongue. The kid is now trembling and fighting back tears while she just keeps enjoying her latte. A child's scream pierces the air, irritating her. Chen's name is hissed with pure, unadulterated disgust. Another beast slithers closer for a talk. Chen snaps back, reminding him that the boundaries were already set. Ready to strike, he asks if blood was shed. The newcomer admits the local hunters found their trail. Chen suggests a hasty exit, citing their non-aggression pact, but the other demon scoffs at his caution. He argues the goal was simply to avoid chaos, noting they went undetected for a whole month of hunting. To him, Korean demons are total fodder. Running is a joke since they've already crossed the line. Why settle for humans? With a sinister smirk, he suggests they feast on the 2 local demons nearby. The pieces click for Seol, and Seol Hua confirms the hunch. This department store is a massive red flag. It's the epicenter of local disappearances. Seol had leaked his aura specifically to bait these monsters out. Even if they're at a disadvantage, she knows they can't retreat. It's time for a violent reality check. They stand their ground, claiming this concrete jungle as their turf. The massive crowd is exactly why. This mall is prime real estate. 3 major subway veins pulse directly beneath its floors. Plus, a bus terminal links to the outskirts. These 3 factors make this place a gold mine. It's the heart of Seoul's chaos, a perfect black hole where people vanish without a trace or a witness. Despite the cameras, a person can be erased in seconds within this sea of faces. Nobody even blinks. Tracking their energy signatures, Seol Hua detects 4 monsters. They've split the loot, divided between the store terminal and subway. Anxious Seol Choi suggests calling in the higher-ups. We're outnumbered, he says. She agrees, but notes that their pride is being directly challenged. These enemies know they're being watched and won't flinch even if it means a suicide mission. Seol Hua insists on a total shutdown. Unlike those beasts, they must protect the innocent at all costs. This isn't just a skirmish, it's a test from the judge. Seol Choi checks his phone, worried. The subway is a death trap with this many civilians. She smiles, unbothered by the risk. Staff members are still scattered around. She flares her aura, promising a minimal body count. High on the rooftop garden, moonlight bathes the scene. A demon asks where Chen vanished to. Ray steps up, explaining that she bailed because she didn't want any part of this mess. In a memory, Chen warns she won't gamble her life for just 2 local targets. Ray pushed back, but she dismissed his arrogance as mere opinion. To her, this is a losing bet. The risk-to-reward ratio is trash. Plus, her team's performance over the last month was total garbage. Ray's ego takes a hit. She stands up, making it clear she won't stay a second longer. She offers a cold thanks for the memories. Turning away, her exit is final and chilling. Good luck, she mocks, her face twisted in a derisive, patronizing smirk. The remaining demons roast Ray for being soft. He shrugs it off. Chen was never truly one of them. The girl insists the 3 of them can handle it, but Ray's silence catches her off guard. They can't just ignore the fallout. Ray reveals a hidden lair where the feast continues. They'll keep hunting humans and gut any local demon who dares to step up. Surrounded by a human shield, their enemies won't dare use their full power. The clock is ticking, though. He vows they'll consume everything in sight until they evolve. Reaching the spirit level is the goal. He reminds his sisters of the shame their clan endured. This is for their family. When they return, no one will ever dare look down on them again. Brandishing their newfound strength, he vows they will dominate Zhang Yohan's demon underworld. Pivoting, he declares they're destined for the demon throne. Below, Seol Hu wears a chilling smirk. Bracing for the storm, the 3 siblings catch a scent and snap into high alert. Suddenly, a suffocating aura swallows the building, paralyzing the trio with pure shock. Seol Hua channels her essence, her voice booming through the halls, ordering everyone out. She seizes control of the mortals. Instantly, the staff drop everything and march toward the exits. Her violet whisper technique weaves energy into inescapable commands varying by the victim's proximity. Noting only 3 humans escaped, Ray demands to know about the worker on the roof. Seol Hua scoffs, assuming he isn't that brainless. Ray reels, wondering how she moved so fast. Mocking their foul stench, she's glad they're outdoors. Viron seethes her teeth, grinding in fury. Ray snaps that it's a trap. He sends Wylan downstairs, claiming the fox for himself. Ray explains another target remains, so he and Viron will skin this particular fox together. Grinning, he promises her the demon's corpse once the kill is confirmed. Viron dives off. Seol Hua scoffs at the order, suggesting he should have run. They bark back for her to worry. Ray sizes her up. She's elite, but 1,000 human souls say they'll still win. They ignite their demonic pressure. Seol Hua just chuckles at their sheer delusional audacity. Unleashing her true power, she tests their mettle. Below, a confused grandmother stumbles into view. Chained by the command, she wanders blindly before ducking behind a massive stone pillar. Seol Hu rushes in, catching the frail woman before she hits the floor. She gasps in terror. He lies about a gas leak, helping her up while urging her to flee the building. Grateful, she frantically asks about a small child. Seol Hu gestures toward the lower levels. He assures her the boy is there. As she leaves, he lets out a heavy breath. Seol Hua notes that hypnosis fails against those with high demonic resistance or strong wills. She tasks Seol Hu with finding more stragglers. Scanning the area, he counts 7 remaining souls. He pushes deeper into the hallway. Suddenly, a faint, sinister energy prickles his skin. A voice stops him cold. Wyland grins, suggesting they just pretend this meeting never happened. She was hunting for snacks, but he looks lean. Wyland smirks, calling him her type. Backing off, he rejects the Demon King title. She suggests they just vibe as friends. She offers a truce over a meal. He coldly asks if she came from downstairs. Confusion flickers in her eyes. She asks if he means the humans she just intercepted. Flashing her blood-soaked palms, she admits to devouring them. She couldn't let fresh meat waste. Fury boils over. Without a word, Seol Hu lunges, slamming a devastating fist into Wyland's jaw. The blow sends Wyland flying into the masonry. Seol Hu's eyes immediately dart toward the escalators. His face pales as the horrifying reality of the situation finally begins to sink in. He remembers the hunger demons feast on souls. These past 3 days were a brutal lesson. He'd seen the carnage firsthand. Now a realization he'd ignored finally shatters his composure. He'd been so focused on killing monsters that he forgot the humans caught in between. Wyland staggers up, complaining about the pain. She wipes blood away, surprised by his speed. She remarks, he looks appetizing now. Seol Hu just stares back, ready to end her life. With predatory focus, he readies his next move. He explodes forward, closing the gap instantly. She tracks his silhouette, screaming that he's coming from her blind left side. It's a feint. He pivots midair, delivering a bone-shattering strike from the far right. He quips that delicious beats handsome any day. Then he unleashes a relentless storm of fists. Blasted backward, she claws at the tiles. The sheer momentum hurls her across the vast mall. She hits a brick pillar with a sickening thud. Seol Hu stands still, catching his breath. Surveying the carnage she unleashed, Wyland chuckles breathlessly while collapsing onto the cold floor. She scoffs at her own flashy display, calling it pathetic. Suddenly, her voice trails off as she senses something bizarre. Staring at Seo Choi, she demands to know what is manifesting. Stunned, she admits it is unique, questioning if this is his true magic. Raising his palm, he confirms her suspicion. He reveals a newly forged weapon, lashing out with a whip aimed directly at her. The weapon streaks across the hall with blinding velocity. It connects violently, triggering a colossal shockwave upon impact. Rattled, she curses her luck, yet Waylon snatches the whip mid-air, muttering that she never wanted him witnessing this side. Yanking the cord, she seizes Seo Choi's weapon. He acknowledges her monstrous strength as the energy construct starts fraying apart. Forced back as the weapon slips from his grip, he finally realizes this is her genuine, terrifying form. Eyes widening, he spots a blur approaching. He braces his arms for impact as Waylon lunges forward with lethal intent. Charging Seo Choi with insane momentum, Waylon's right arm mutates, evolving into a grotesque, reinforced state of power. She swings a heavy punch, but Seo Choi intercepts the blow. He counters instantly, pouring every ounce of weight into a strike. Digging his heels into the earth after parrying, a massive blast erupts, hurling her violently against the stone wall. Gasping for air, she claims she would have fled if she knew he would see this mess. Waylon explains, this hideous state is her magic. She despises her monstrous look. Seo Choi tries to object, but she shuts him down, insisting she already knows the truth. She claims she reeks of decay, a recent discovery. Then, she reveals the dark nature of her race, the Brain Eaters. To gain power, Brain Eaters must feast on human flesh. As they were born weak and defenseless, a new law nearly drove them to extinction. Forbidding them from eating humans was like banning a thirsty person from drinking water. Ages ago, her kind starved while hiding in shadows. Spilling the grim reality, she shares her tragic past. She reveals demons slaughtered her parents. Now, the only thing that sparks sorrow is the sight of her surviving siblings. Despondent, she admits the three of them survived like ghosts in the dark corners of the human world. Orphaned in the filth of the sewers, they lacked even a human guise to hide their true forms. Then she smiles. She asks if he can fathom her current life. Giddy, she claims she is finally beautiful, and the endless struggle is over. She shrugs off devouring humans as a mere necessity they have always practiced. Seo Choi grits his teeth, refusing to throw his life away. Waylon coldly suggests they just pretend none of this occurred. Since she's hesitating to execute him, he declares, he's no monster, he wants true justice to prevail. Stop fishing for pity and fight, he barks. Shedding her doubt, she finally readies a lethal strike. Pitying his choice, she blurs towards Seo Choi. He braces, desperate to parry the incoming impact. Her raw might is overwhelming. It's clear now taking her head-on is a suicide mission. Despite Seol's insane growth spurt, this demon's evolution is on an entirely different level. Scaling past him in real time, she sends him hurtling back with a single, effortless flick. The shockwave rocks them all. She playfully apologizes for her total lack of control. Waylon promises to master this power while finishing him off. For her kind, humans are the ultimate elixir. She's been feasting for a month straight, pushing her strength to absurd godlike heights. Gasping, Seo Choi dares her to use magic. She mocks his last pathetic attempt as his peak. He just smirks, channeling energy into his palm, before firing a barrage of soul-searing bolts. She dances through the projectiles, realizing he can't sustain this high-tier magic for very long. Suddenly, he lunges forward, connecting a devastating blow with his fully transformed fist. She shrugs off the counterattack, deciding to toy with her food a little bit longer. Battered, he watches her prepare the kill, lamenting that she never even learned his name. Rest in peace, she whispers. He realizes she put everything into that last desperate strike. He reveals his trump card. The gamble actually worked, rewinding the clock a few hours. Seolhwa asks about the Goyu fight. He admits it was a total wash. Nothing landed. She notes that Goyu didn't even bother dodging their power gap is basically a canyon. He's a top-tier threat. Among 500-year-old demons, few can match his sheer dominance. Nervous Seo Choi asks if she's in that same league. She shuts him down with a glare. He backtracks fast. She just smirks, claiming she's the undisputed peak of power anyway. He asks about her specific moves, hoping she didn't lose herself to the bloodlust. He used a wrestling move with an item, yet Goyu remained completely unscathed and bored. He's haunted by Goyu's stillness. Seolhwa realizes there's a much deeper mystery at play. This isn't just about levels or stats. With a knowing smirk, she drops some wisdom. Wrestling is pure physical dominance, not magic. Suddenly, the earth begins to violently shudder. She remains calm as the ground quakes, sensing Seol is finally grasping the essence of combat. Just then, the demon Ray stumbles in, bloodied and broken, questioning her presence there. She was right to worry. He was a decent warm-up, but ultimately a massive disappointment. She sighs, annoyed she even considered needing 4 of her tails to end him. Seeing Waylon defeated, she begins to piece together why these demons are infiltrating Korea. She demands their numbers. Ray just sneers, refusing to betray his kind or their hidden help. She laughs. Acting tough looks pathetic. She offers a simple choice, talk now or die. Ray chooses death, his body distorting into a monstrous beast as he rejects her deal. Unfazed, she tracks his transformation while readying a shimmering red thread of absolute doom. Ray lunges with blinding speed, a beast unleashed, but she's already 10 steps ahead. Invoking the Emperor's first bridge, she ends him with one single surgical strike. As another tremor hits, she scoffs. The outcome was written in stone from the start. What a waste of power, she mutters. To her true class is about finesse. The crow on her shoulder complements her outfit, catching Seolhwa completely off guard. As the bird flies away, Solmi reverts to human form, looking absolutely wrecked and exhausted. Seolhwa's heart sinks. Solmi looks like she's walked through hell and back. Sobbing, she begs Seolhwa for help. After scouring both worlds without a wink of sleep, Solmi rattles off her solo to-do list. Seolhwa pitches in, but wonders who these guests are. Sudden tremors cut Solmi off. Seolhwa glances over, sensing that the vibration is definitely Su Choi. Solmi looks up as Seolhwa explains he is deep in a brawl. Anxiety washes over the worried girl. Seolhwa confirms the lethal stakes. However, she argues that danger shouldn't mean keeping him sheltered forever. For a goblin eyeing the throne, combat is inevitable. According to Seolhwa, Solmi's fears will only bottleneck his destiny. Seolhwa insists that worrying about Su Choi is completely unnecessary. Solmi is told to stay chill and wait. Back at the showdown, the finale is fast approaching. Wylan screams baffled that her strike failed. Before she can recover, another heavy blow lands squarely. He hits the deck defeated, yet somehow steadies himself before surging back onto his feet. Stunned, she wonders why her flurry is failing. Grabbing her arm, he reveals a total shift. She watches from afar, unable to fathom how he's still standing. Gasping, he declares his secret art, Goblin Wrestling. Unlike basic brute force, every goblin possesses this innate ancestral wrestling instinct. If it were just muscle, it wouldn't be demonic magic. This is why goblins never truly lose. It is not just talent. Stepping forward, Su Choi apologizes for losing himself in the heat of battle. He needed to memorize this new awakening. With cold determination, he issues a final warning. Time is up. As she lunges, he calculates how to dampen the impact of her coming strike. She seizes his head, ready for the killing blow. With a grim look, she demands payback. He neutralizes her movement, slamming a counterstrike into her skull. She checks the result, seeing something impossible. Siu explains that redirecting enemy force is a core pillar of most legendary martial arts. But instead of just stopping, he diffused the shock across the surface. Goblins call this technique roots. Like a massive tree, this foundation makes him indestructible by minimizing every ounce of incoming damage. It supercharges his goblin wrestling, amplifying his raw power. Suddenly, his equipped item begins to resonate. His energy surges to terrifying levels. Unleashing his true potential, he executes a devastating move. He snatches Wylan midair, hoisting her over his shoulder before cratering her into the hard ground. He slams her down with brutal force. Wylan can barely flinch, completely crushed by his overwhelming technique. The catastrophic impact makes the entire building shudder. Su Choi sits by the crater, assessing the damage. The floor collapses into the level below. Landing amidst the wreckage, he sits calmly in the debris. Mangled on the floor, Wylan begs for a favor. She wants him to kill her beautifully. He refuses, needing her alive for intel. Wylan chuckles, hoping she is actually worth keeping around. Suddenly he spins, sensing a lethal presence closing in. In a blur, he barely blocks the ambush. Elsewhere, Solmi mentions demons from China arrived for cleanup. Seolhwa's interest is immediately piqued. She is down to meet these newcomers if they are strong. Solmi warns they are notoriously stubborn. A total nightmare to handle. Seolhwa jokes about some ancient grandmother, but Solmi shuts that down. As Seolhwa asks about her bloodline, a mysterious woman materializes right in front of Su Choi. Meet the granddaughter of the legendary Monkey King Sun Wukong. The new demon surveys the carnage. Realizing he was not the goal, he introduces himself. She snaps, claiming she could not care less. Sensing her accent, she declares the sinner behind him must die. Touching her earring, she warns him. She will grant one mercy. Then she crushes her accessory, which erupts into a blinding golden glow. Move or die with her, she threatens. Blowing a glowing thread, she ignites her lethal attack. He has 0 seconds to react, as the projectile streaks toward him at godlike speed. A massive explosion vaporizes the scenery. Looking at the smoke, she assumes it is all over. She thought he would be toast, but he used Wylan as a shield, forcing her to acknowledge him. He realizes he would have been dead meat if he had not powered up earlier. Thanks to his new technique, he successfully diverted the fatal blast's impact. Su Choi stands his ground, ready to face whatever the Monkey King's granddaughter throws next. Still, the damage was far too brutal for his unrefined body. Gasping for air, he wonders if he can survive another lethal dodge. As his legs begin to buckle, she sneers, promising that his struggle ends here this time. She's making sure he stays dead. Channeling her sinister essence, she prepares a devastating demonic art. Then she unleashes the Wind of Spirits, a technique of overwhelming power. An explosion rocks the area, leaving nothing but a thick shroud of dust. Through the haze, her eyes widen as something impossible happens. Just as her strike lands, a colossal fist manifests and catches the blow midair. With terrifying strength, it crushes her energy like glass. The spectral fist vanishes into thin air. Grounded and dazed, Seo Choi stares upward, his mind reeling from the sudden turn of events. A massive entity looms over him like a guardian. Stepping onto the scene, Seolhwa admits she felt an unsettling ripple in the atmosphere. She decided to investigate the disturbance. With a look of pure irritation, she calls out the high-ranking demon sent from China. She mocks her for bullying a weakling instead of doing her job. Looming over her, she demands a valid excuse for this mess. "Give me one good reason not to end you," she threatens. "The ultimatum is clear. Speak up now if you want to keep breathing." Seolhwa approaches Seo Choi, her voice softening slightly to check on him. He staggers up, claiming his wounds are just flesh deep. When he asks what's going on, she brushes off the fight. The real reason for this chaos is much deeper than a simple brawl. Seeing his confusion, she explains that the newcomer was pampered like a princess. That entitled ego is why she's ignoring her orders. She's just trying to flex her power. Nearby, the demon Xiaohui grumbles, complaining that she never wanted this trash assignment anyway. She hates everything about this place. She even questions how she's supposed to work with low-level demons who don't know their place. Seolhwa throws the insult back, daring her to actually prove her worth. Feeling the killing intent rise, Seo Choi swallows hard. The air grows heavy as their bloodlust peaks. Both demons lock eyes, ready to ignite a confrontation that could level the entire area. They begin manipulating their destructive powers for a head-on clash. Terrified of the fallout, Seo Choi desperately screams for them to stop. His pleas are ignored until Solmi suddenly appears. Looking completely done with the drama, she demands to know what Seolhwa is thinking. She reminds her that the newcomer is technically a guest. Stunned by the sharp scolding, Seolhwa's confidence completely evaporates into thin air. Solmi turns her icy gaze toward the backup. Addressing Xiaohui, she points out that she was the one who attacked first. Fighting without a sanctioned judge is a crime under the king's law. With a deadly serious expression, Solmi issues a final warning. She's ready to pass judgment right here. Seolhwa whispers to Seo Choi that Solmi has the authority to have her deported instantly. Not everyone can handle a position like Solmi's. Many crave that status, but few demons possess the mental fortitude for the job. Her duty is to deliver grim news while keeping her head high. Despite her kind appearance, Solmi never backs down from trouble. Xiao Hui finally sighs, admitting she lost her cool, and this petty fight isn't worth the effort. The tension finally breaks. Seolhwa agrees, stating the boy wasn't worth the lesson anyway. Turning to leave, Xiao Hui warns them never to cross her again. Enraged by the parting shot, Seolhwa prepares to retaliate, but freezes under Solmi's terrifying glare. One look forces her to stand down. Surveying the wreckage, Solmi beams, declaring the mission a total success. She congratulates Seo Choi, assuring him the humans are safe. Worried about other sectors, he learns they aren't the only ones hunting. Elite demons like Goyu were deployed to different battlegrounds. With a confident smile, she believes most invaders were purged tonight. Seolhwa then reveals that some humans are assisting the mission. Per the secret pact, demons secure the area south of the Han River. Meanwhile, the northern side is handled by the shamans. The shamans are responsible for the cleanup up north. The scene shifts to Namsan, where the city night looks deceptively peaceful. Yusun sits amidst the debris, looking absolutely drained after a brutal skirmish. A woman scolds him for being a reckless lone wolf. Introducing herself as So Yeon-ji, she says, he should have called for backup. Yusun just scoffs, claiming he was perfectly fine alone. He argues that teammates would have just been dead weight. She retorts that a shaman leader needs to actually learn to lead. Clutching his mask, he mutters that he never asked for this leadership role. Standing over a fallen beast, he complains about being forced. She notes that the demon he slayed was exceptionally massive and powerful. He confirms it was indeed a mystic-level threat, but he warns it might not even be the leader. That monster was just a mid-sized grunt from the larger enemy group. Her jaw drops. He wiped out 10 mystic demons all by himself. Seeing his growth, she finally understands the elder's bold decision. Gripping his mask, he reiterates that he never sought this power. Looking at the carnage, he vents about his forced responsibilities. She ponders the sheer size of the fallen demon behind him. He confirms the kill was a high-tier mystic-level entity. He adds that the real boss is likely still out there. To him, this beast was just a regular soldier in the horde. She's stunned that he soloed an entire squad of elite demons. Witnessing his evolution, she finally sees why the Elder promoted him. He decimated 10 mystic demons without any help. Reflecting on his insane growth, she realizes the Elder's promotion was the right call. Sifting through the demon's ashes, Yusun brings up the boring paperwork. She cuts him off. They need to move right now. The police commissioner general is expecting them. Yusun begs for a break, but she warns him that Seoul is in total crisis. She flashes a news headline noting the public thinks it was a terror attack. They both agree that the cover story is better. They must maintain appearances for now. He sighs, ready to crash at home, but she drops a bomb airport duty at sunrise. His jaw drops. Why the early wake-up call? She explains that a legendary Onmyoji clan from Japan is touching down in Korea. They requested 2 escorts. When he asks, why me, she bluntly says, it is to balance out the team's raw power level. The visitors are no joke, they are the future leaders of the clan. Lugging his gear, the boy leans over to whisper to his sister. He notes the air and soul feels different. She just tells him to stop pouting and enjoy their very first international mission. He knows it will be a grind, but he is hoping for some fun. Meanwhile, Yusun tries to prep a welcome in awkward Japanese. The words trip him up instantly. So-yeon roasts him for being late, but he tells her to zip it and focus. This collab is wild. Shamans and onmyojis working together. That is basically unheard of in the supernatural world. Actually, there is a precedent. She recalls a story from the colonial era when 2 elite onmyojis crossed the sea to Korea. They teamed up for a massive exorcism. Did it work? Yeah, they bagged the demon, but it was a total disaster. It was pure chaos because they hated each other. Their petty bickering caused more damage than the actual monsters did. Looking back, their clashing styles made a smooth operation completely impossible. History is about to repeat itself. She warns him to watch his step. One spark could trigger a war. He groans, admitting he is trash at handling drama. He is ready to bolt the second things get awkward. But So-yeon points ahead. Their high-profile guests are already waiting. 2 figures stand by a pillar, waiting patiently. Recognizing them from the file, Yusun locks eyes with the Japanese duo. They feel his gaze from across the terminal. Looking at the guy, Yusun can already tell this dude is trouble personified. Squaring his shoulders, he steps up to play host. He closes the distance, standing face to face with the mysterious newcomer. Standing before the stranger, Yusun tries to keep it cool. He fires off his rehearsed Japanese to give them a warm welcome, but the kid beats him to it, grabbing his hand and bowing deep. To his shock, the boy replies, in perfect Korean. He thanks them for the ride. The youth introduces himself as Yoshihiro Kira and hopes they get along. His Korean is impressive. He has been grinding on the language since middle school. As they shake hands, he mentions that his sister is the real pro. He claims she is even more fluent than him, but she barely acknowledges them, her eyes glued to her phone screen. She does not give a damn about the pleasantries. A cold hi is all they get while she keeps tapping away on her device. The awkward silence is deafening. Kira quickly apologizes for her attitude, introducing his frosty sister as Yuzuru. Lesson learned, never judge by appearances. One look at her, and Yusun realizes she is not just quiet, she is the real threat. She is a walking red flag. They head to the car with their hotel stay already locked in and loaded. Behind the wheel, So-yeon plays the perfect host, telling them to speak up if anything is uncomfortable during their stay. Kira beams grateful they sorted the room so fast. Noticing her partner is being weirdly quiet, So-yeon snaps him back. She calls his name, getting a startled glance. He clears his throat, apologizes, and finally asks, so why are you guys really here? Yuzuru shoots back. Are they here for backup or just to be tourists? So-yeon insists that knowing the truth is essential. She claims it is about providing the best support possible. Kira goes quiet for a heartbeat, weighing his options carefully. He mulls over his words before dropping the facade. He decides to be blunt, catching his sister completely off guard. She protests, but he is done playing games. He argues that being honest is the only way this partnership actually works. They need real cooperation. When asked what monster they are tracking, he reveals it is nothing like a typical spirit. Kira breaks it down. Asian demons fall into 4 categories. First up, the beast demons, monsters of pure primal instinct, animals that evolved past mere nature. Second are the vengeful ghosts, human souls warped into something terrifying. Then there is the Tsukumogami relics possessed by spirits. But he warns there are darker entities born directly from nature. Most are spirits, but there is a terrifying exception, the Tatarigami. Yusun's eyes widen, he knows that name all too well. In Korea, they are known as shadow demons. So-yeon nods, confirming they are birthed from the deepest, darkest abyss imaginable. Their origin is a mystery, though some say they are born from collective terror. Only one can exist per generation. They are unique, singular threats. So-yeon warns that their hunger and power-up potential are beyond anything they have ever faced. Blessed with genius intellect, they devour everything to evolve. Historically, every time one appears, absolute carnage follows. Forcing an uneasy alliance, they demand to know the demon's nature, but Kira remains clueless. Yusun only knows a prophecy of its birth and westward trek before dropping them at the hotel. After telling them to rest, Kira heads into the lobby and questions his sister's hidden thoughts. Outside, Yusun calls this mess a disaster, as So-yeon fully acknowledges the weight of his words. So-yeon ponders the mastermind's true agenda while reflecting on the chaotic events of the previous day. Yusun dismisses the weak demons they fought, fearing their current efforts are just a massive bait. If the goal was to make them careless, it worked, as So-yeon thought the hunt was over. But if a shadow demon lurks, he suspects they are the ones pulling all the strings. Startled, she learns that global threats have infiltrated Korea, not just the usual Japanese spirits. He explains that while shadow demons are rare, they are definitely present on Korean soil. A foreign entity growing stronger for a full month would pose a catastrophic threat to everyone. This entity might reach spirit-level power, drawing more than just onmyojis to hunt it down. Overlooking the city, she prays her fears are groundless before the scene shifts to Seoul's mountains. Surveying the trail, Seo notes, the secluded atmosphere is perfect since no hikers are in sight. Seo scoffs, claiming she can easily manipulate any humans who might accidentally stumble upon them. Seolwa falls silent, studying Seo's intense expression, before asking if yesterday's deaths kept him awake. He blames his own failure to save them, but she insists the fault lies with her. Staring at the dirt, he regrets his weakness while Seolwa reveals the true purpose of their trip. She vows to train him in the mystic arts, forging him into a powerhouse for future battles. Mastering basic demon magic is essential for survival, and he solemnly swears to focus on her lessons. Suddenly, she blurs into motion, her feet scraping the earth as she lunges toward him instantly. Caught off guard by her insane speed, he stumbles back, his plea for time swallowed by the wind. She grabs his collar to steady him, warning that a goblin must never let their guard down. Pulling him close, she teases that they are finally in the most ideal position for training. She whispers for him to stay still as she leans in, the tension between them skyrocketing. Seo catches a sweet, peachy aroma from her as she promises the session will conclude shortly. Vertigo hits him like a truck while she maintains an unshakable, piercing gaze on his face. Everything goes quiet as Seo shuts his eyes, feeling a surreal energy ripple through his entire frame. When his vision clears, he is standing in a familiar place that feels fundamentally twisted and wrong. Sensing his panic, she assures him that this landscape is merely a construct, not reality itself. She reveals they are currently traversing the deep, hidden layers of his own subconscious mind. He wonders if she is a phantom, but she explains her unique magic is far more complex. Her violet whisper magic deceives the senses, allowing her to manipulate the target's brain with ease. By linking their consciousness, she creates a mental bridge to control his actions or erase memories. She describes herself as a guest in his head, her hand igniting with a mystical, eerie glow. The real test begins now, and she is curious to see how he handles the upcoming trial. With a wave of power, she summons a shadowy entity to push his combat skills to the limit. The darkness swirls and solidifies, manifesting into a tangible, threatening figure right before his eyes. Horror strikes Seo as a hulking, muscular version of himself emerges from the gloom. Approaching slowly, she notes, this isn't just a basic clone, but a refined echo of his past. It is a flawless memory-based replica, and she dares him to prove which version is truly superior. She snaps her fingers, imbuing the copy with the exact same terrifying aura he once possessed. Recalling his past state of near collapse, she watches as the duplicate prepares for a brutal confrontation. The memory warrior sinks into a lethal stance focused entirely on the coming bloodshed. With an explosive burst of speed, the copy lunges, aiming a devastating first strike at his heart. A devastating fist shatters the earth as the double barely misses its mark. Observing from the sidelines, she notes his raw power, even without a drop of demonic energy. The massive shockwave leaves him reeling, questioning the sheer insanity of that strength. A brutal kick sends Siu skidding across the dirt. He's totally blindsided, struggling to keep pace with his doubles. God-tier speed and power. A relentless barrage of strikes follows, pinning him to the floor in a cloud of dust. Was I really this cracked in the past? Siu realizes this copy is actually moving faster and hitting harder than the demoness herself. Siu parries a blow and looks for an opening to counterattack. He slips to the side, aiming a desperate strike right at the copy's jaw, but it's stonewalled. Instead, a savage knee connects squarely with his face, launching him through the air like a ragdoll. Relaxing with her tea, she teases if the fight is too much for him. Honestly, even she admits a physical brawl against him would be a total nightmare. Siu catches his breath for a split second, bracing himself for the next wave of hell. As she sips her tea, she muses that his instincts only shine against low-level mobs. But what happens when his foe is a natural-born genius? Flat on his back, Siu can't believe he hasn't landed a single scratch, despite going absolutely all out. The copy stands perfectly still, unbothered, making him question everything. The gap in power is just illogical. Seolwa watches the drama unfold, a curious brow raised at the unfolding chaos. Dragging himself up, he takes a stance, refusing to back down. Suddenly, the double lunges forward, closing the distance with terrifying velocity. It hits him every move he's made was actually dictated by his shadow. When he wielded that club, the ancient memories within let him reshape it. With fire in his eyes, he gambles that he can replicate the copy's genius. He slams his fist into the earth, mimicking the exact same defensive move. The copy's eyes flicker in recognition, the ground stomp. He has to admit that. The double's execution is leagues above his own. Gripping his wrist tight, he decides that demonic energy is irrelevant now. He might not be a master yet, but he's sending it anyway, launching the copy high into the sky. Turns out he's got a few tricks of his own up his sleeve. Weapon ready, he readies his next strike with total swagger. Siu taunts his foe. How will it stomp the ground when there's no ground to kick? He winds up for the kill. Ready to dominate the aerial game, he hurls the club upward and it expands into a massive looming shadow. Grinning, he watches his weapon hover primed for the finisher. Then it descends with the weight of a falling mountain, triggering a colossal explosion upon impact. Confident in the outcome, she snaps her book shut and waits for the dust to settle. Clutching his weapon, he yells in triumph, finally cracking the code. She offers a rare compliment on his impressive performance. Seolwa declares that his display of strength has finally earned their mutual respect, but she just chuckles, gesturing toward the smoke. Take a closer look, she warns. He spins around, heart racing. As a chilling new presence draws near, there stands his double gripping the club with a terrifyingly cold gaze. The copy hoists the weapon, signaling that the real round 2 starts now. She explains that he truly was acknowledged, because the copy actually stole his weapon to finish the job. Cold sweat pours down his face as the realization hits. The copy never thought he was worthy of that club in the first place. The weapon swells in size as the double prepares a final blow, infused with absolute power. Paralyzed with shock, he can only stare as the air vibrates with overwhelming energy. Collapsing to his knees, blood dripping from his brow, he realizes there's no escape, no defense will save him now. He curses the unfairness of it all, just as the club slams down, detonating in a world-shattering explosion. The very foundation of his mental world splinters into nothingness, broken and battered. He's forcibly ejected back into reality. He lies motionless on the cold ground before finally gasping back to consciousness. His body still screams from the phantom pains of the duel. She pulls him up, praising his guts for surviving that ordeal. She admits the odds were rigged, but notes he actually forced her to manifest 5 tails. Intrigued, he asks what it would take to stop him now. She muses that 3 tails, maybe 4 if she was rushing, would get the job done. Her power multiplies by 1.5 times per tail. Suddenly, her gaze sharpens as she barks a command, calling out a rat lurking in the shadows. Hong Ryan emerges from the tree line, dropping to her knees in a panicked apology. She swears she meant no harm, leaving Siu stunned as he recognizes her face. Seolwa asks if they're acquainted, and he confirms she's a member of the Yanghoi house. Hong Ryan quickly explains she's only there for a delivery. As the contract's down payment, she presents a garment crafted from a high-tier demonic artifact. Rewinding 24 hours, Moryang warns that the term investment gets tricky once you are inside. He pledges elite resources to Siu Choi, unveiling legendary artifacts hidden from the world until this moment. Siu Choi vibes with the deal, yet he immediately digs for the catch behind that specific word. He grills Moryang on the endgame, earning a smirk and a compliment on his sharp intuition. The director prepares his true demands. Chuckling, Moryang drops a bombshell. They require 0 favors currently. Technically, that makes this a gift, not an actual investment yet. Dropping the facade, Moryang coldly reminds him he isn't the only player on the board. Their survival hinges on the next Demon King. Moryang adds that lesser demons are desperate for vassal status. He paints a grim picture of how power brokers gamble on their future champions. Siu Choi plays it cool, though he knows rivals must hate this. Moryang nods. He hit the bullseye. Moryang claims dissenters usually vanish, then offers a chilling example. He brings up the Haete clan's master, their former pet project. He gestures, noting Siu Choi's rare spark. Leveling a finger at him, he declares the boy is the perfect asset for their cause. Moryang demands he validate his potential by obliterating the competition. In this world, the weak are just trash. Should he seize the throne during the brutal festival, Moryang will finally lay out his true price. Pressuring him to sign on, Moryang frames this as a simple token of friendship. He unveils a unique gift. Donning the new threads, Siu Choi admits the fit is actually fire. Seolwa reveals the gear is summonable at will. When he asks for the activation key, Hong Ryan keeps it simple, just say on or off. Siu Choi claps, ready to test the deactivation. Instantly, the fabric dissolves into thin air. Seolwa flexes the gear's lightning-fast response time by flickering her own armor in and out of existence. Hong Ryan smirks, noting Seolwa's unusually high energy. She mentions the girl is a legit prodigy who ghosted countless elite scouts. Suddenly, Seolwa snaps a lethal glare at Hong Ryan. She barks at her to scram, accusing her of being a spy. Stepping in before things get messy, Siu Choi tells her to chill and asks what the deal is. Hong Ryan drops intel on a demon nest's coordinates. She adds that Moryang is ready to assist by leaking their secrets. Seolwa narrows her eyes, skeptical of how they secured such high-level data. Demanding the truth, she brings up Master Yusung. Siu Choi nods instantly, recalling that clown from the Haete clan. She reveals he led a hunt last night with 2 others. He connects the dots, asking if Yusung was the actual snitch for the demon's lair. A memory flashes the 2 demons backing Yusung were brutally slaughtered. She concludes by saying the young master tucked tail and ran. Shocked, Seolwa demands to know the truth. Hong Ryan explains the news only broke this morning because the coward arrived late. He was a bloody, panicked mess when they found him. Apparently, he's still a total wreck. He is stuck in a loop, reliving the horror. She figures the crushing shame of failure broke him. Seolwa scoffs, noting he brought eternal disgrace to his bloodline. She asks if the judge knows yet. Siu Choi replies that the judge knows, but he is likely not going to lift a finger. Seolwa grabs him, dismissing the failure as a problem for later. As she turns, she warns that Seolmi is currently struggling with the cleanup. She tosses a look back, telling him to check it out yourself. She warns that Mang Tae and Seolmi will block his solo mission. Then she realizes he has the location. He doesn't need a green light. She knows he won't stop until that demon is erased. Seolwa admits she would do the same, so she won't stop him. She offers one final tip. Identify the demon's specific class. Walking off, she warns him to watch out for the magic-wielding freaks. Tearing open a rift, she leaves the choice to him before vanishing into the void. Siu Choi turns to Hong Ryan with intense eyes. He demands every single scrap of info Yu Seong shared. At a hotel, Yoshihiro questions his sister's destination. Yuzuru deadpans that she is clearly just taking a stroll. Refusing to stay cooped up in her room, she's met with his icy suspicion as he questions her sudden urge for a city stroll. Reminding him of their guest status, she sighs about following the rules, noting that the shaman at least seemed ready to play ball, but her gut says otherwise. Leaning in close, she smirks, asking if he really thinks she'd start a demon hunt right here. Pointing a finger, Yuzuru calls him out for being weird, telling him to practice what he preaches before mentioning that the Sumida River chaos wasn't her fault. Before vanishing, she promises to be back for dinner and tells him to hit her up. He watches the bedroom door slam shut. Left in the silence, he doubts she'd even pick up the phone if he tried calling. Reaching the 14th floor, the elevator panel glows as the doors slide open. Alone inside, Yuzuru stands in heavy silence, her face a mask of dead seriousness as she reaches for the button. Her mind's made up, she's out of here soon. Effortlessly, she summons a spirit to bait the demon right to her doorstep. Staring the creature down, she demands a great fortune, questioning if it can truly deliver. The spirit nods in agreement. It notes her massive reservoir of accumulated energy. Explaining there are 7 types of luck, it begins weaving one just for her. Snatching the small scroll, she offers a quick thanks, oblivious to the specific luck she's just secured. Down in the lobby, the truth emerges. The spirit always grants exactly what's needed. Smiling, she knows capturing this demon will be a total breeze. But as she unfurls the scroll, her heart sinks. She's been gifted luck and love. The message predicts a fated encounter with her dream man today. Suddenly, a scream erupts from across the street, startling everyone. Crushing the paper in her fist, Yuzuru wonders if this luck is a joke. Meanwhile, talking to a taxi driver, Seo insists he's fine to walk the rest of the way. Just then, Yuzuru spins around her gaze, locking onto the man standing there. He lets out a heavy sigh, already regretting the mess he stumbled into on the street. Grumbling to himself, he wishes he'd just taken the bus. The scene shifts. We're now in Seoul's Hanggang Park. Locals wander peacefully through the park, soaking in the rare sun. Sitting on a nearby bench, Bi-hyung catches Chien's teasing voice, claiming he looks like he's actually having fun. She thought he despised all humans. Recognizing his peer, he asks when she arrived. Chien reveals she's been lurking for a few minutes to avoid interrupting him. He scoffs, explaining that hating someone and simply observing them are 2 completely different vibes. He likens it to humans watching bugs. You might be disgusted, but you still can't look away. Seeing them squirm and struggle is pure entertainment to him. Chien isn't feeling it, but he says she's just too young to get it. Listening to the elder, she's told that clarity only comes with time. She sighs. Chien asks if Ray and the others are truly gone. He admits Waylon might have survived, but honestly, it wouldn't change anything. They'll try to interrogate her, but they'll get 0 info. Chien confesses she's been haunted by last night's events. Thinking back, Chien admits the truth only hit her once she was alone in the dark. Perched on the bench, she calls herself a fool for realizing her feelings this late. Pure fury takes over, as she screams that she should have just devoured those 3 siblings herself. Even after feasting all night, her hunger remains. Hearing her dark confession, Bi-hyun asks for a body count. She shrugs, admitting she didn't bother counting her victims. Dropping the location, she reveals she wiped out everyone inside the building. Bi-hyung declares her officially free. Since the deadline expired at midnight, he informs her he's finally staying out of her business. With a chilling grin, Bi-hyung announces that the 7 of them are now free to unleash total chaos. Checking his phone, he predicts news of the mass disappearances will break right after lunch. Suspicious Bi-hyun asks how she knows the gritty details of the siblings' brawl. Chien just smirks, confirming the obvious. She was there. Flashing back to the night before, she admits to being a silent witness to the entire confrontation. Lurking in the shadows, she explains it was pure coincidence, as she had no real business there. But something else caught her eye nearby. Smiling, she claims it's nothing major, well, not for now at least. Back on the street, Siu Choi cruises down the sidewalk, blending into the crowd. That's when he spots Yuzuru standing frozen, staring a hole right through him. She tilts her head, wondering what his deal is before sensing his leaking demonic energy. He isn't even trying to hide it. Mapping out the situation, she realizes there are only 2 paths here. Either he's a human puppet under a demon's spell, or this is a trap designed to lure someone in. Watching him feign a lack of control, she shifts her focus to the mysterious item clutched in his hand. Gripping the enchanted dagger, he prepares to trigger the magical artifact. Hyunji reveals a deadly secret: a fragment of the blade remains embedded inside the foe. This allows the wielder to stalk their target from incredible distances. It all clicks for Seo Choi. Yusiam used that very shard to hunt the demon like a bloodhound. She confirms the tracking range is insane, over 1,000 kilometers. Hearing this, he realizes that extracting the shard requires massive energy. New steel regrows instantly, but this enemy is a total tank. Clutching the hilt, he realizes the dagger is only still broken for one chilling reason: the demon is intentionally keeping the blade inside. Chasing the spectral energy, he finds a sketchy building in a dark alley. Inside the hideout, total chaos reigns. A demon calls out to Tao, who is standing in the center of the mess. The bandaged demon points at his friend's mangled arm, looking terrified. Seeing the gash, his buddy asks if he needs to yank that blade out. Unfazed, Tao laughs it off, finding the whole lethal wound hilarious. Suddenly, another demon steps up, eyes blazing with fury. He's absolutely livid. He demands to know why Tao is leading hunters straight to their front door. This exposure means no more human snacks. Tao looks them dead in the eye and makes a wild announcement: he's officially done eating humans. The other demon loses it. If not humans, then what? But Tao explains his hunger is now infinite, and he found the ultimate fix yesterday. During that fight, he realized his old self would have been crushed, but victory brought a high he'd never felt before. Zen finally gets it. Tao was truly born for this. Tao declares he's only interested in hunting targets that actually make the meal exciting. Calling the whole thing insane, the other demon bails. He wants zero smoke. Tao just smirks. "Are you sure about that?" Tao asks. It's clear their paths have officially diverged forever. Their partnership is dead. It's a pity, but a clean break is necessary. The companion hesitates, reaching out. Realizing the weight of his words, the demon is shocked to see a hand extended and a chilling smile. Tao simply wishes him luck. He thanks them for the memories, claiming he learned plenty from them. Then comes the warning: stay far away if they want to live. Forcing a nervous grin, the demon says his goodbyes, calling Tao a total freak. He urges Zen to move before sunset, but Zen doesn't budge. He looks at his partner and chooses to stay by Tao's side. His partner is floored. Zen explains they only survived last night because Tao carried the entire fight. Now his only goal is to reach Tao's level of power. His partner screams at him, calling him a delusional fool who forgot his place. Tao warns Zen that staying is a death sentence, but then he makes a vow: Zen won't die before he does. Watching this unfold, Zen is speechless, totally stunned by the promise. Done with the drama, the partner officially quits. He asks for one final favor: to eat everyone downstairs before leaving. Tao gives him the green light. Go for it, Tao says, telling him to feast before the sun finally dips below the horizon. Cut to Seo Choi, approaching a massive rotting warehouse. Inside, Zen notices Tao acting strange. Tao clutches his arm, claiming it's nothing, just a sudden, unexpected jolt of surprise. Outside, Seo Choi anticipated this meeting, just not this fast. In an ancient drawing, the demon's true terrifying name is revealed. Tao readies himself to finally welcome his guest. Seo Choi steps into the hollow silence of the warehouse. Instantly, two hostile signatures ping. He looks up. A demonic presence is lurking in the shadows of the ceiling. Below, the metallic stench of blood is overwhelming. He's at a crossroads. Meanwhile, outside, Yuzuru arrives, eyeing the dilapidated structure with pure suspicion. This is a demon buffet, she concludes. She wonders why he charged in despite the obvious trap. She crumples her fortune paper, remembering the kid's prophecies: never miss even the cringy romance ones. She's destined to find her dream man today, but the message was annoyingly vague. She thinks of Seo Choi but immediately swipes left. He's way too clumsy. Then she senses the ceiling threat. Gearing up, she summons her beast. Raiju, let's move. We're going in. Scaling the heights with predatory grace, Yuzuru's summon vaults onto the roof and slips inside. Ready for a clash, she scans the perimeter, realizing this twisted realm is actually underwhelming. Paralyzed by terror, Zen notices the enemy lacks the aura of a high-ranking demon. Trying to find his nerve, he chants his own mantra of courage. Meanwhile, she coldly vows to erase anyone foolish enough to appear. Deep below, Seo Choi descends the blackened stairwell, halting as the shadows begin to breathe. A demon hunched in the gloom devours its prey, spinning around in shock at the intruder's presence. Stepping into the light, Seo Choi confronts the beast, demanding to know how many more are hiding. Evading the question, the demon sneers that the others moved upstairs, mocking the boy's strange energy. Sensing an opening, it prepares to flee after finishing its bloody snack. Glaring at the youth, it declares Seo Choi is the next course. The beast lunges, but a sudden blur catches it off guard. Blurring through the air, he dares the monster to keep up before unleashing a devastating strike. A heavy blow craters the demon's gut. Spitting ichor, it reels from the impossible speed of the assault. He seizes the thrashing monster, slamming it against the concrete floor with earth-shaking violence. Pinning the beast, he delivers a final warning, demanding the exact number of enemies remaining. Its jaw distorts into a hideous maw, shrieking a bloody oath against being underestimated by a human. Seo Choi remains unfazed, watching the creature's desperate transformation. Then, in a flash of movement, a jagged blade grazes his cheek. Cackling, the demon screams that he missed his only chance to kill. It hisses, a lethal reminder that every hunter must eventually learn their place in the food chain. Keeping its distance, the demon prepares a long-range execution. Suddenly, the air itself screams. A hail of razor-sharp wind slashes the young man. Despite the carnage, he stands his ground. The demon follows up with a massive sweeping arc that shears Seo Choi's left arm clean off. The blade carves through his torso, leaving a severed ear to fall into the growing crimson pool. Gasping for air, the exhausted demon stares in horror as the boy refuses to drop dead. Locking eyes with his foe, Seo Choi calmly acknowledges its pathetic obsession with gaining power. He scoffs at the demon's weak resolve, declaring that slaughtering for an unjust cause is pure rot. With an explosive burst, Seo Choi lunges. The demon reacts, swinging a jagged claw with lethal precision. The strike connects, sending Seo Choi's fist flying. Even as his limb is severed, his momentum never wavers. Pushing through the agony, he continues the hunt. The defeated beast claims eating humans is just nature. Bleeding out, the demon argues that predators simply consume prey. Seo Choi offers a grim nod, agreeing that the world is built on such hypocrisy. Then he ends the monster's life instantly. He tears a pulsing orb from the carcass, his gore-stained hand tightening around the supernatural prize. As the corpse rots, he raises the essence to his lips. Upstairs, the atmosphere suddenly shifts. A crackle of electricity surges through the hall. Zen collapses, sensing a terrifying change in the air. Yuzuru demands the whereabouts of their captain, but a trembling Zen has no answers to give. Her eyes lock onto the shadows, but a sudden lightning strike sends Zen crashing to the floor. She dismisses him as a useless amateur, turning her sights toward the fallen demon for a bounty. Tao emerges from the gloom, suggesting that Zen's pathetic mindset is the real problem here. Watching him, Yuzuru realizes these onmyojis possess a level of grit that psychics simply can't match. A veteran summoner of over 100 exorcisms, she thought she had seen it all. Yet in Tao's presence, she falters. Tao walks forward, lecturing her on the necessity of projected strength. She realizes his energy is masked, yet he reeks of demon. Below, Seo Choi clarifies his intentions. He admits he was giving his partner a chance to shine. Unfazed, Tao readies for a true battle. Suddenly, a weapon snakes out at blinding speeds, forcing Tao to react as the air ripples. Seo Choi intercepts him instantly. Tao's lips curl into a smirk. The real game has finally begun. Seo Choi explodes forward, burying a heavy boot into his foe's face before transitioning into a spin kick. A brutal strike connects squarely with Tao's jaw, sending him skidding across the warehouse floor. Zen shrieks in terror for his ally, while a battered Tao questions if she possesses psychic abilities. Seo Choi demands her immediate exit, but she stands her ground, insisting she's ready to brawl. Tao's chilling smirk cuts her off as he refuses to let distractions ruin his duel with the kid. He senses a desperate hunger for battle in the boy, far exceeding even his own bloodlust. Boiling with rage, she's insulted that they've dismissed her as nothing more than a nuisance. Grabbing her golden artifact, she ignites its power, prompting Tao to mock her newfound bravado. Prepared to strike, she yells for Seo Choi to move, forcing him to glance back instantly. He coldly warns he won't pull punches before she triggers the artifact's ancient seal. With a deafening thunder cry, she takes flight, unleashing a jagged spear of lightning at them. Tao and Zen are frozen as the blinding electrical surge roars closer. She realigns her aim. A second wave of raw energy erupts. She knows holding back now is a death sentence. Fueled by resolve, she bets everything on one final devastating blow to end them both. She calls upon the raging thunder, a colossal blast that shatters the warehouse walls in fire. As the smoke clears, she's left gasping for air, drained after only 2 massive strikes. Her reserves have plummeted 50%. This land's energy clearly rejects her foreign power. Suddenly, Seo Choi seizes her arm, his intense gaze demanding her total focus and calm. He warns that further recklessness means certain injury, then launches Yuzuru into the safety zone. She watches from the sidelines as he gears up to handle the chaos solo. Silence falls. The building turns eerie and quiet. Yuzuru thinks the demon fled, but she's dead wrong. Seo Choi clarifies that their energy bond remains intact. He yanks an invisible thread tight. The spectral cord glows, spanning the room. He calmly breaks down their enemy's desperate move. Noting the demon's amateur tactics, he realizes the entire assault was merely a smokescreen. Prepping to move out, he bluntly rejects her assistance, leaving her fuming at his arrogance. She snaps at his ego, but the moment she turns, her blood turns to ice. With a predator's glare, he scoffs at her ignorance. Then he strikes in a heartbeat. His hand clamps around her throat. He warns her that he's perfectly aware of the pressure. He threatens to snap her spine like a twig, unless she fights back right now. He pivots gracefully, evading an unseen threat before glancing over his shoulder in surprise. Something catches his eye. He looks down to find a tiny creature waddling toward him. Yuzuru's companion pokes at his shin, and he remains stoic watching the bizarre interaction. He loosens his grip, letting her slump to the floor while offering a hollow apology. Claiming the aggression was a test, he reveals the demon's strike was meant solely for him. The enemy used her as bait, hoping his hero complex would buy them some time. He demands to know if she finally understands her weakness. His order is clear: go home. Turning to exit, he mutters that he's seen enough human blood spilled for one day. He stops for a final grim warning, pointing toward the remains of the fallen victims. He begs her to handle the basement scene, noting that nobody deserves such a gruesome end. Dawn breaks over a deceptively peaceful city as he stalks through a narrow back alley. Siu Choi tracks the shimmering energy cord to its source, stopping as he nears his prey. He offers a chilling thanks for the sport. Tao admits the boy's strength kept their pact. Severing the link, he notes the isolation of this ghost town reconstruction zone. No witnesses. Rumors have cleared the streets, leaving only a few unlucky souls to capture the carnage. Armed with a makeshift lead pipe, Siu Choi readies for the impending bloodbath. Tao apologizes. Tao's face splits into a wicked grin, his anticipation for the slaughter reaching its peak. Defying gravity, the rivals blur into motion. They collide mid-air, a violent explosion of raw power erupting. Tao's eyes widen as Seo counters. A thunderous kick connects squarely with Tao's jaw, sending shockwaves. Tightening his grip, Seo unleashes his blade. He drives a lethal strike deep into the beast's chest. The impact hurls Tao backward like a cannonball, obliterating the brick wall upon contact. He plows through debris unstoppable. Dragging himself up, Tao glares at the boy in pure disbelief. Seo Choi strikes while the iron is hot. He pounces, delivering a brutal hammer fist to Tao's skull. Tao braces, white-knuckling his pipe to parry. The two warriors trade blows in a deadly balanced dance. Gradually, the gap in their strength widens. Tao seizes the moment, and the young man's face. Unleashing his inner beast, he strikes with overwhelming force, proving who truly dominates this chaotic brawl. Seo Choi coughs up crimson, reeling from the sheer weight of that strike. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Xiaohua scolds him, calling his survival pure luck. She forbids another dose, ignoring his every desperate plea. Too much demonic energy will rot him from within. She brings up the tragic fate of the kobold. It lost its mind to the surge. If he isn't careful, he'll transform into a mindless, rampaging beast. Tao grins mid-combat, genuinely floored by the kid's talent. Yesterday's fodder can't even compare to this. They were warm-ups. Wiping a bloody smear from his lip, he pulls out a mysterious glowing orb. Mesmerized by its shimmer, he wonders aloud what it is. In that heartbeat, the goblin mask awakens his third racial trait. Nearby, a villager spins a tall tale of a goblin sighting. A skeptic scoffs inside, claiming the storyteller is capping. He swears a massive demon appeared first. Then a goblin intervened, saving his life. Clinging to every word, his friend begs for more details. He describes a titan double the height of any man. Yet, beyond its massive frame, it appeared shockingly human. The listener laughs it off, insisting it was just some big guy, not a monster. No horns, that's not the legend they know. But a third man listens intently, believing every word. He's dead serious. The goblin he encountered was hornless. Surprised, they ask if he's seen one personally. He nods. Memories flood back to his youth, a time when he witnessed something impossible. He saw two goblins locked in combat. They looked human, yet their silent, piercing glares were otherworldly. Are you certain there were no horns? He asks. Then he reveals they vanished into thin air. He recalls their pointed headgear, perhaps helmets or masks. Then, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. Evaporated. To back his story, he recalls the mountain trembling as he fled. Refilling the ale, his friend shrugs off the debate. Most demon myths are born from a seed of truth. Shift to the battlefield. Time and human gossip twist the facts. Take the fabled goblin's horn, for instance. It's no biological trait, but a war mask forged from pure, concentrated demonic essence. Even the tales of invisibility are misleading. When a goblin dons that mask, they don't turn transparent. They simply move at speeds that defy even demonic perception. Suddenly, a thunderous boom rocks the area, igniting an explosion. Through the smoke, Tao's grin emerges. Tao's hand is pulverized. Seizing the opening, Seo delivers a crushing haymaker straight to his face. The kinetic force ejects Tao backward. Mid-air, he spits blood as the pressure mounts. Tao counters with a brutal headbutt. After a tense, silent standoff, Tao charges with a sadistic smirk. Seo catches him mid-dash, gripping his collar. He hoists his rival high into the sky. He twirls him like a cyclone. Channeling his technique, he readies a devastating throw. The earth quakes between the skyscrapers. A massive projectile slams into the concrete structure. The wall disintegrates upon impact. Thick clouds of dust and rubble rain down on the street. Deep in the alleyway, the demon's body finally comes to a halt. He splashes into a puddle. Armless and bloodied, Tao staggers to his feet. He glares as Seo lands in the dark alley. The mask's secrets flow into him. He feels his innate abilities surging to a god-tier level. This functions differently. Seo realized his overflowing mana was becoming uncontrollable. Agony surges through him, his hands trembling violently. Meanwhile, his energy drains away. Triple the usual speed. Recognizing the danger, he knows he can't maintain this form for long. Tao smirks, calling him legendary, and admitting he learned plenty today. Clenching his fist, he claims to finally grasp his peak strength. His arms regenerate as he thanks Seo for the meeting. Discarding his gear, he refuses the gratitude. Then biting his own finger, he commands the monster to drop dead. Tao just chuckles, claiming that's simply not an option. Smiling wildly, he lunges forward, declaring this the ultimate thrill. The carnage resumes. Their collision triggers a massive blast across the rooftop, blurring at insane speeds. He blitzes his foe with absolute lethality. Fists fly in a relentless, even-matched trade. The sheer pressure shatters the concrete beneath them completely. It's clear. Their stats are identical, but the first to hit their limit will be consumed by this power. Tao escalates, gathering dark energy. He unleashes a strike, hitting Seo dead center in the chest. A blinding explosion erupts at the impact zone. Thrown against the wall, it's revealed. Goblins aren't the only ones evolving. Tao awakens a new magic, shocked by his own potential. Rising once more, Seo stares down his foe ready. Tao then sends a devastating power wave, screaming toward his target. Seo leaps, barely dodging the blast before prepping a lethal counter, pooling raw energy into his palm. He releases a shockwave that collides with his rival's might. Fueled by the mask, he gears up for the final showdown. Neither monster would ever surrender. In this savage war, tightening his grip, he channels every drop of mana into one strike. He strikes with everything, knowing only absolute destruction can end this fight. Locking eyes, both warriors transcend their limits simultaneously, merging their magical prowess. Tao begins manifesting a new relic. He forges the Supreme Wave Spear, a weapon of legend. Unfazed, Seo prepares his own divine tool for the finale, charging ahead. Tao blurs forward, spear aimed at the throat. Their clash triggers a massive tidal explosion. Tao emerges from the debris, broken and drained. Even in defeat, he admits the pity, yet accepts his fate. He even compliments Seo's blade, before finally collapsing in victory. Seo towers over his mangled, one-armed opponent. Suddenly, a shadow approaches from behind, praising the spectacular duel. Approaching, he notes how much Seo has evolved into a true, pure goblin. "Glad to meet you," he says, identifying himself as Bihyun. He's a goblin too. Surprised, Seo stays in a defensive stance amidst the carnage. Calmly, the stranger tells Seo to chill. As Seo hesitates, Bihyun swears he won't interfere in the Tao fight. Suddenly, a massive debris shard hurtles past at terminal velocity. Seo flinches as Bihyun vanishes. Reappearing, he notes, Tao actually looks satisfied. Gazing at the fallen demon, he admits things could have been different. No matter, he grins. There's always a round two. Seo roars from behind. There won't be a next time. Igniting his aura, he swings a devastating strike at Bihyun. Shocked, the newcomer hardens his gaze. He barely deflects the blow, commenting on the intensity of the massive roots he summoned. Gripping the weapon, he calls Seo's form sharp. Suddenly, the realization hits Seo. He sees the technique he should have been using. It wasn't just brute force that stopped him. It was a perfected absolute technique that channels impact directly into the earth. Bihyun smiles, relieved. Seo recognizes the skill. Dropping the weapon, he lets it clatter between them. Jumping back, Seo hears Bihyun acknowledge the confusion. He knows Seo was told he was the very last goblin. Seo snarls, grabbing his collar. "I don't give a damn about being the last." Grinning, Seo questions if he's their target. Bihyun confirms, admitting he summoned the foreign demons. He offers to reveal his true motives, promising to lay everything bare for Seo. Claiming he's long awaited this chat, his eyes flash with anticipation as the story begins. Seo strikes instantly, lunging with a surprise blow. Bihyun remains eerily still, tracking the incoming weapon. Unfazed, the man begins lecturing Seo, offering tips like one goblin to another. Seo cuts him off with a brutal gut punch. Despite coughing up blood, Bihyun continues. He preaches about keeping grounded against elite foes, introducing the mysterious roots technique. This skill parries almost anything. Then he prepares to demonstrate its offensive lethality, unleashing a massive shockwave. He slams Seo into a nearby wall with terrifying force. The concrete shatters upon impact. Clenching his fist, he claims the skill maximizes lethality without draining a drop of stamina. Stepping through the dust, he commends Seo for mastering goblin basics without a teacher. Suddenly, he asks if Seo likes dogs, noting that canines are far superior to pathetic humans. Sometimes they bite, though. Looming over Seo, he whispers that when a pet turns wild, it is the owner's failure. With a twisted grin, he calls weaklings who forget their rank repulsive. To him, they are just trash. Seo snaps back in fury, but Bihyun warns him not to misunderstand. Smiling, he admits he loathes humans and more. He begins his tale of the ancient lawless era, Before Demon Kings existed, there was only the raw brutality of the food chain. Back then, weaklings were just prey. He chuckles at how modern demons pathetically wait for meals. To him, today's demons are just pampered livestock. He recalls how humans have totally forgotten their place. Shielded by laws, they act without fear of consequences, oblivious to the protection they enjoy. They trample others for free, never realizing they only survive because of the systems above them. He tells Seol to envision a world stripped of such fake safety, a world without laws. In that realm, only raw power dictates survival. The irresponsible would have nowhere left to hide. Seol calls his logic childish, but Bi Hyung just laughs it off while rising to his feet. He expects no empathy as their worldviews clash entirely. Then he locks eyes with the boy. We will change that reality now. He admits Seol sparked his interest after crushing Tao. With a smirk, he extends an invitation to learn the truth. But Seol remains defiant. What if I refuse? Seol asks. Bi Hyung scoffs, noting that Seol never had a choice. Chillingly calm, Bi Hyung saunters forward as Seo's arm begins to twitch instinctively. He asks with a smirk if Seo is truly ready for the consequences, warning that any struggle now is purely pathetic. Without warning, his head snaps back toward the shadows. A mysterious silhouette is emerging from the gloom, and the look on his face shifts from arrogance to sudden intrigue. Just as the atmosphere reaches a breaking point, the unexpected intruder reveals herself. It's Yuzuru, appearing on the scene at the most critical moment possible. Tightening her grip on a hidden artifact, she channels her spiritual energy. In a flash, she unleashes a blinding surge of electricity straight at the startled Bi Hyung. This wasn't meant to kill, only to stun. As the high-voltage shock paralyzes Bi Hyung's movements, the window of opportunity swings wide open. Seo transforms into a blur of pure speed, closing the gap in a heartbeat. He puts every ounce of his weight into a devastating punch aimed right for Bi Hyung's skull. The air screams as his fist connects flush with the monster's face. The sheer kinetic energy of the impact ripples through the surrounding area like a bomb. Bi Hyung is launched through the air like a rag doll vanishing into the skyline. But why was Seo's recovery so sluggish during that crucial opening? His entire being was hyper-focused on the grotesque, otherworldly evolution his weapon had undergone during their previous life-or-death struggle. He couldn't wrap his head around the science or the logic of its new power, but the raw primal energy vibrating through his palms was undeniable. Legends say his weapon is a mirror of the soul, a tool that reshapes itself based on the wielder's deepest, darkest desires in that exact moment. Seo had exploited this morphing ability to survive countless battles before constantly shifting its shape to counter whatever threat stood in his way. But this time it wasn't just a tactical transformation. The steel was now pulsating with a singular, overwhelming emotion that bordered on obsession. It was the absolute thirst to reach his endgame. He could see the cruel cycle clearly now. Demons feast on humanity, and humans are nothing but cattle. He had been a helpless witness to this endless chain of misery for far too long. He was tired of being the victim who could do nothing. His focus narrowed down to the one target within his strike zone. I'm going to end you, he growled, pouring his entire soul into the blade. Facing this sudden surge of killing intent, Bi Hyung let out a jagged, nervous laugh. He reached out with trembling hands, barely managing to intercept the weapon. The air grew heavy with pure, unadulterated bloodlust. Carrying the weight of its master's iron, the weapon finally unmasked its terrifying and true form. A titanic explosion of power erupted, casting a shadow over the entire city, sprawling below. From the distance, a witness watched the carnage unfold in horror. Yuzuru stood frozen, her mind, unable to process the sheer scale of the power. Despite his exhaustion, Seo hoisted his weapon, now a massive demonic war axe. Towering amidst the smoldering wreckage, he gripped the finalized engine of destruction. The sight of him was nothing short of legendary and terrifying. Yuzuru could only wonder where this impossible strength was leaking from. In that moment, his presence rivaled that of a high-ranking archdemon from the abyss. Straight from the underworld, he lunged forward, swinging the colossal axe toward Yuzuru. Just as the blade whistled through the air, he roared for her to duck. Her reflexes were shot. Yuzuru could only stare into the face of death as the massive blade swung toward her, but the trajectory shifted at the last second. The blow was a feint redirected with pinpoint accuracy toward Bi Hyung. Yet Seo's heart sank as he realized he hadn't even managed to graze the monster. Bi Hyung reappeared instantly, mocking him by saying his growth never stops being entertaining. Seo realized that even at full throttle, the gap between them was a canyon. How does it feel to be so close, yet so far? Bi Hyung quipped, looking completely unfazed as he loomed against the backdrop of the darkening sky. He sighed, lamenting that he wasn't allowed to spill blood today. His mangled hand knitted itself back together instantly, a terrifying display of high-tier regeneration. Then, with a flicker of movement, he countered Seo with a lightning-fast strike. The hit landed perfectly, and Bi Hyung realized the stakes had just shifted. Well, this just got a lot more complicated, he whispered. Under the sheer pressure of the impact, Seo's ultimate weapon shattered into 1,000 useless shards. Blasted backward by the shockwave, Seo tumbled across the ground while the girl watched in despair. The predator began his slow, methodical walk toward them. Bi Hong explained with cold logic that a weapon's true form is forged to amplify a single, unwavering purpose. And that purpose has its price. Seo's weapon was built for one thing: murder. Using a tool meant for killing to defend yourself is as foolish as trying to block a sword with your bare ribs. He chuckled, suggesting that Seo would have actually stood a better chance if he had just used his own body as a shield from the start. Bi Hyung's gaze drifted to the girl. "You're a long way from home, aren't you? A Japanese shaman caught in a place like this is quite a rarity." With a look of pure malice, he warned that she should have done her homework before intervening. He then turned his predatory eyes back toward the broken Seo. He offered a twisted mercy: she lives, but only on one condition. Seo had to drop the mysterious item he was clutching and surrender immediately. As he seized her, she recognized the artifact. It was a high-level pill from the legendary Yang Hoi house. Bi Hyung's grin widened into something truly monstrous. "Every miracle drug has a side effect that can kill you," he warned. He explained that Seo had overloaded his internal crystal, and his survival was now a coin toss. Seeing Seo at his limit, Bi Hyung mocked him. He knew Seo was paralyzed by the fact that he couldn't fight back without risking the girl's life. He commanded Seo to abandon everything and submit. But through the terror, the girl screamed for him to ignore the monster as Seo raised the pill high. She shouted that she had been prepared to die as an exorcist since the day she was born. Bi Hyung's face darkened with irritation. "You're starting to annoy me, brat." He tightened his grip, and the girl let out a blood-curdling scream of agony. "Know your place, human scum," he hissed, ready to crush her. Suddenly, a silver flash cut through the air. Blood sprayed as a phantom blade sliced clean through Bi Hyung's hand, forcing him to stand perfectly still in shock. He couldn't comprehend where the strike had originated. Disturbed, Bi Hyung scanned the perimeter, desperately trying to find the invisible hunter who had just drawn his blood. Across the field, a four-eyed glasses guy grit his teeth and braced to strike. A blur of fists hammers Bi Hong. Suddenly, a hand snatches Ju's arm mid-strike. Goyu commands him to stand down, barking a final warning to stop draining his energy. Stunned, Siu demands answers. Goyu just smirks, noting the time for questions has long passed. Gesturing toward the ruins, he tells Siu to witness the sheer scale of the carnage. Yuzuru regains her footing near Goyu. He reassures her that she's safe for now. But the enemy won't be so lucky. The suit-clad warrior and Bi Hyung clash at blinding speeds. The suited fighter pulls back, channeling all his force into a devastating straight lunge. Dodging by a hair, Bi Hyung slips the strike. He parries a kick and hurls his foe back. He scoffs that their power levels aren't even close. He grips his arm, mocking his useless efforts. Suddenly, blood sprays from Bi Hyung's face. Goyu reveals the clan's true terrifying magic. Under his spell, moisture in the air begins to boil with lethal intensity. Gasping through the gore, Bi Hyung is hit by the curse. Yu Yong finally introduces himself. He claims martial arts require dirty tricks to overcome. The water around them starts to morph. The spell's lethality depends entirely on the water's purity and his target's distance. They specialize in steam and groundwater. Bai Hong realizes his own blood was the catalyst. This blood-boiling art is whispered to be one of the rarest, most difficult techniques. Yu Yong weaves his hands, locking onto his prey. With a flick of his finger, the trap snaps. Wide-eyed with shock, Bi Hyung watches as Yu Yong fires a high-velocity liquid bullet. An explosion rocks the area. Bi Hyung can't believe a single drop holds such insane power. Yu Yong smirks. Every hunter has its specialty. He summons a swarm of floating water orbs. He unleashes the barrage, turning the nearby skyline into a series of fiery detonations. Goyu casually tells Siu that he's likely used to this level of madness by now. Siu recalls yesterday's Haida clash. The energy signature is identical, yet something feels off. The power gap is astronomical. Before he could read the flow, now it's a total enigma. Goyu explains that even among demons, talent varies wildly. Not all monsters are created equal. He declares Yu Yong the absolute pinnacle of the Haida clan's elite warriors. Through the thick debris, Yu Yong eyes his prey. He's stunned by Bi Hyung's freakish healing factor. Annoyed, Bi Hyung wipes his chin, claiming the real fun was just about to start. Yu Yong calls out to Goyu, warning him that the next strike will be full throttle. Telling him to guard the others, Yu Yong readies his ultimate finishing move. The girl senses a massive mana surge. Yu Yong clenches his fists, centering his crushing power. Suddenly, the earth trembles as a massive water geyser erupts into the sky. Bi Hyung realizes the trap. Every drop in the area is being summoned into a terrifying beast. With a cold glare, Yu Yong commands his watery monstrosity to tear the enemy apart. A colossal hydra-like titan towers over the city. Yuzuru stands frozen in pure terror. Siu gasps at its size. He recognizes the spell from the infamous Yongkoi incident. That power leveled an entire mansion once. Yu Yong reveals the beast's name, Ishimi. Pointing his finger forward, he gives the final order for the nightmare to advance. The Titan lunges with impossible speed, a liquid wrecking ball aimed straight for the kill. Bloody and battered, Bi-hyung lets out a roar, daring the monster to do its worst. He's driven back by the sheer force digging his heels in to stop the momentum. He finally sees the pattern. Then boom! A massive shockwave detonates right in his face. Yuzuru ducks for cover, her heart racing as she watches the chaos unfold. Yoshihiro lunges to shield her, both of them reeling from the sheer intensity of the blast. He watches Goyu weave a protective shield, sealing them within a towering barrier. The trap is set. From above, their spherical prison sits dead center of a massive crater. Turns out the Haitei and Black Turtle clans are total opposites. Their water manipulation literally negates itself. Goyu sighs. This duo is a disaster. Gasping for air, Yu Young gazes at the wreckage. He admits their combined force worked. Goyu turns, checking if Yu Young's still holding up. He just needs a breather. Peering into the abyss, he questions the final result. Standing on the precipice, the pair surveys the sheer scale of the destruction. Below, Yoshihiro weighs two options. Either he massively overestimated them, or they simply lacked the will to kill. Yu Young confirms the latter. His mind was already focused on the next threat. Goyu's baffled by the enemy's obsession. Straightening his tie, Yu Young remains icy and silent. Siu and Yuzuru watch the awkward tension between them in total silence. Suddenly, Yu Young strikes the floor with a spell. Pure power erupts, slamming directly into Siu. Siu crashes into the debris. She screams at Goyu, demanding to know what's going on. Glaring at Yu Young, she demands why he attacked. He calmly tells her to chill. He did what was necessary. Looking at a broken Yoshihiro, Yu Young dismisses him instantly. He assures Yuzuru, the danger has passed. This business is officially concluded. Humans shouldn't meddle. Behind them, the city lies scarred and broken. Elsewhere, in a sleek modern skyscraper, Tao sits battered and bloodied. Chen looms over him, noting they're both shadow demons. Tao looks like a tasty snack. Bi-hyung cuts in, telling the two monsters to play nice. He doesn't care if they devour each other. Chen scoffs, questioning if Bi-hyung's even breathing. Smiling, Bi-hyung admits the brat actually caught him off guard. The kid read his magic. His roots trigger tremors through the earth itself. That power fails on unstable ground. The enemy intentionally wrecked the terrain to nerf him. Chen vows to remember that during dinner. Bi-hyung just grins with pure excitement. That kid was tougher than the whole Haitei clan. Chen drinks, asking why he retreated. Staring at the clouds, Bi-hyung admits he was forced to stand down. Chen's brain stalls. She stares at her partner, trying to decode that cryptic answer. Suddenly, heavy rain falls. Bi-hyung retreated because the weather changed. It wasn't forecasted. Battling them in the rain was a gamble. He warns Chen she'd have died. He had to prioritize saving Tao instead. The others were playing bodyguard. He missed Siu, but he'll catch him later. Back with Siu, his eyes flutter open. The bright ceiling lights blur his vision. He snaps, awake, disoriented. His entire body feels like it's been crushed. Footsteps echo. Yu Young stands by the bed, staring at his buzzing phone. The device rings loudly. Yu Young picks up, introducing himself to the caller. He listens to his boss, nodding with a respectful bow. He offers his thanks and hangs up, mentioning he skipped work today. Briefcase open, he checks on Siu Choi. That mask only recently awakened. Its magic boosts power, but drains life. He had no other choice back there. He forced a total power shutdown. He acted on pure survival instinct. Representing the clan, he apologizes for his brother Yu Sayum. Siu declines. Siu asks about the demon who used his same goblin magic. Mang Tae reveals the truth. The demon's name is Bi-hyung. Torrential rain lashes the city while pedestrians huddle under umbrellas, catching icy droplets in their palms. She muses that even this realm knows storms, realizing humans possess a grit she never expected. Solmi offers a shaky thanks, confessing she was clueless about managing the prying eyes of witnesses. Reflecting on the chaos, she admits things would have gone nuclear without that crucial backup. Seolhwa points toward Goyu, noting his wasted time, though she admits her intentions were pure. Instead, she totally fumbled it. Reaching the cafe, they spot the open sign flickering on the door. Some girls nearby gossip about a brutal breakup, making Solmi gasp and cover her mouth in shock. Completely lost, Seolhwa asks her bestie for a vibe check on the drama. Solmi explains the owner is the main attraction before they march straight toward the service counter. Goyu initially claims they're closed, but his expression softens into a greeting once he recognizes their faces. Confused, Solmi questions why he's locking up when he was the one who summoned them here. He grumbles about barely being open anyway before asking for their drink orders. Solmi gets her usual, while Seolhwa scans the menu, all while Solmi begins her habitual venting. She rants about her caffeine count here, but Seolhwa is just vibing, sipping her drink in silence. He suggests some teas, but Seolhwa snaps, her eyes flashing as she demands what he's staring at. A voice booms from the kitchen shouting for Seolhwa to chill out and lower the temperature. Solmi defends the innocent kid, but Seolhwa isn't buying it, seeing right through his arrogant facade. Dropping ancient wisdom, she sneers that in a world of the blind, the one-eyed man rules. Solmi warns of a fox eyeing the tiger's throne, as Siolova reveals even demons have sworn enemies. Primal animal grudges don't die, they just evolve when these creatures transform into powerful demons. Power levels fluctuate over time, but these blood-soaked rivalries are passed down to every new generation. Sensing the friction, Goyu reassures Solmi while coolly wiping the counter firmly, stating his stance. He refuses to scrap like some mindless animal, but she unleashes her aura in a lethal threat. She claims ending his life would be effortless. Completely unbothered, he just shrugs and says, "Bet." A voice cuts in, demanding the young master cease his actions at once. Caught off guard, Solmi realizes she can't blink before a new arrival starts chewing the boy out. She blasts him for brawling on day one, but he grumbles that the fox started the staring contest. Approaching him, she warns that playing by the book won't save him, placing a firm hand on him. She clarifies he's poking a high-ranking VIP, warning that he'll take the full fall for this mess. Observing the drama, the duo realizes she was playing chess while Seolhwa slowly backs away to speak. Seolhwa claims she'd rather not slay the final tiger, while Solmi notes her surprising retreat from the fight. She smirks, noting the absolute irony behind this tangled web of truths. She adds that a malicious ancient spirit is his guardian, then tells him to clean up his act. Seolhwa warns him to ignore her, then spins toward Goyu to demand why they were summoned. The woman demands an explanation for breaking their cover before Goyu finally breaks down the situation. He reveals the judge licensed elite demons for support, announcing a new era before addressing Seolhwa directly. He summons Huan Wei and Wu Liang, announcing that every other demon has been banished back home. Shocked, Solmi frantically asks about Seo Choi, but Hong Ryan clarifies that Seo is the sole exception. Terrified, she asks if he's stranded in the demon realm alone, though Seolhwa admits he has strength. His power is half-baked, meaning a mere mortal like him would be eaten alive within days. She commits to training Seo for 1 month per their deal, while he lets out a heavy sigh. He insists Seo is present, and she needs to focus, warning that the boy's life hangs in the balance. Her new objective, shield the boy from the deadliest predators of all other humans. Back in the recovery room, a bedridden Seo Choi questions if Bi-hyun was actually his ancestor. Mong-tae reveals the demon is over 1,500 years old, smashing the usual lifespan expectations. He explains longevity requires hoarding massive demonic energy. Still, Seo's head is spinning. Seo demands to know how enemies defy age. Yu Yong notes appearances can be deceivingly youthful. Devastated, he confesses his ultimate strike failed. He feels like a total failure. Mong-tae snaps at him to stop the self-pity. Only Seolhwa and Goyu are peers now. Dropping a bombshell, Mang-tae reveals goblins vanished 666 years ago. The clan fractured and warred. Victory came at a brutal cost, leaving the winners shattered. Extinction seemed certain. He believes the final survivor succumbed to his lethal wounds. This led him to assume Seo was a secret heir to that lost lineage. Mang-tae continues. Lifespans backed his theory, yet Bi-hyun reappeared from the shadows stronger than ever. Seo realizes these survivors could be his kin, uncovering a massive looming problem. Why hide until now? They must uncover why his bloodline is suddenly being hunted. He questions if Seo's mother is purely human. Suddenly she enters calling his name. A school flashback hits a memory of a tearful apology. His mother was begging for forgiveness. She claimed total blame, but the teacher urged her to relax while explaining the truth. An older bully provoked the clash by snatching a soccer ball from a helpless friend. Seo exploded, demanding the ball back instantly. Chaos ensued, but luckily, she explains, the bully's parents stayed quiet. After bowing in gratitude, his mother leads him away. They walk in heavy silence. Finally, she asks her son if he's holding a grudge. He grips her hand, denying any anger. After all, he chose to throw the first punch. She whispers that some battles are inevitable, hugging him tight. She fears the future. He finally sees her true motive. She was desperately seeking a sacred promise. It wasn't just about violence. Pinky promising Sue swears an oath to his mother. Now it feels like a heavy favor. He vividly recalls the warmth of that hug. He sensed its gravity. True to his word, he never shed blood until his awakening. Flash forward, he explains his father was a legendary fighter. He suspects his monstrous roots. That goblin blood came from his dad. His mother, just a regular, everyday human. He suggests she kept it secret intentionally. He avoids eye contact, lost in thought. His very purpose has shifted. Mang-tae smiles, noting he's more human than monster. Low expectations annoy Seo, but Yu Yong praises his insane rapid power growth. Mang-tae suspects Bai-hyung's master plan. Seo erupts in pure, unfiltered rage. That theory is cap. Mang-tae defends him, yet Seo demands why he's labeled a threat. Shamans brand him as an accomplice. Shocked, Seo hears about the wave of disappearances. Police confirm entire apartment blocks have vanished into thin air. It's total madness. The internet is spiraling into chaos. They've been prepping for weeks for this disaster. Leaders tried to bury the truth, but everything collapsed in less than a day. Watching the headlines, Seo sees the panic rising. Mang-tae explains the shaman's panic. They need a scapegoat for their failures. Luckily, 0 casualties have been reported, but the carnage was public. Now the shamans are demanding Siu be handed over. Siu claims he acted alone, but Mang Te roars that the enemy broke demonic law. The choice is mine, Mang Te declares. The shamans have crossed the line. Siu sighs, ready to surrender. But Mang Te vows to protect them at all costs. Siu's heart drops. Why is his mother suddenly in the line of fire? Yu Yang reveals the shamans view her as a criminal. The air turns icy. They lock eyes with Siu. Suddenly crash, a window shatters. Siu doesn't hesitate. He lunges for the exit, desperate to escape. But Mang Te's grip is iron. He blocks the exit, acknowledging the boy's desperation, but warning that he is falling straight into the shaman's trap. Crashing to the ground, he hears that a protector is already on site. Yu Yang demands he finally listen to reason. Shaking on his knees, Siu's aura turns volatile. Bound in mystical restraints, he chokes out that this nightmare is his fault. He admits the chaos spiraled because of his reckless choices. His ignorance blinded him to the devastating price of his actions. Tears streaming, he pleads for them to feel his agony. Gathering every ounce of his hidden power, he prepares to erupt. He fights against the binding seals like a caged beast. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocks the city's concrete skyline. The enchanted threads snap like brittle glass, freeing him. Standing tall, the heavy chains of his confinement are finally shattered. Darkness surges as he unleashes his demonic form. Mang Tai watches stunned. That raw strength alone overcame his divine magic. With a frantic apology, he vows to return after saving his mother. He dives through the shattered glass into the night. He vanishes into the urban sprawl, leaving a trail of destruction. The elders stand frozen, watching their prize slip away. Mang Tai demands why the boy was allowed to escape. Yu Yang just offers a sheepish, unconvincing grin in response. He excuses himself, claiming there was no water for his spells. But someone points out the torrential downpour outside. The silence is deafening. Smirking, Yu Yang admits he went easy. His magic should not have been that easy to rip apart. Staring at the shredded remnants on the floor, Mang Tai lets out a weary, disappointed sigh. He steps up to take the fall. He claims full responsibility for the mess. After all, even a cold shaman cannot ignore a son's desperate cry for his mother. Across town, the sun bleeds into the horizon. Siu's mother grows anxious as her calls keep going straight to voicemail. The sudden chime of the doorbell shatters her uneasy thoughts. Trembling, she slowly approaches the entrance to her apartment. She asks, "Who is there?" But Siolwa manifests behind her like a shadow. With a chilling command, she forces her into silence. Overwhelmed by sheer power, the woman's eyes begin to glow with an eerie light. Then the front door splinters apart. Seeing the wreckage, she sneers. Solmi was right about these pathetic humans. Infuriated, she slams the door shut as Yusen appears. Yusen warns her that numbers will not save them. He threatens to erase every enemy standing in his way right now. He orders Siolwa to bow if she wants to survive. In a low whisper, Yusen breathes a forbidden command word into reality. Siolwa weaves a web of sensory manipulation. Sensing the mental assault, Yusen draws his blade, bracing for a lethal dance. Seeing his hesitation, she summons Solmi inside. Solmi exhales in relief, grateful she did not arrive a moment too late. Yusen kneels in exhaustion, cursing the weak shaman. Siolwa ignores him, ordering the others to secure Siu's mother immediately. A sudden, suffocating pressure fills the air. A terrifying surge of energy begins to envelop the entire city block. Solmi freezes her blood, running cold at this alien sensation. Siolwa realizes the gravity of the situation in an instant. They instinctively sense the shift in reality. A massive barrier locks them in. This was not an accident. It was a setup. The shaman staggers up, demanding to know who sent this vanguard. He stands his ground, refusing to be intimidated. He readies himself to duel a monster. Siolwa stares in disbelief. How did he shatter her mental shackles so easily? With a blinding flash of steel, he disarms his foe. A single surgical strike sends the weapon spinning away. The blade clatters across the floorboards, sliding into the shadows. It lies there useless, and far beyond its master's reach. He declares he is not here for blood, only to protect the mother. He pulls the woman into a protective embrace. Solmi's eyes widen as she recognizes the savior. Siolwa narrows her gaze, questioning if this friend of Sio's is for real. Time is running out. He warns them that the building is completely sealed by a high-level spiritual barrier. Siolwa scoffs, claiming they can blast through from within. He is baffled by their hostility when he is trying to help. Siolwa reminds him he is a shaman. First loyalty is a luxury. Solmi agrees. Even speaking to him feels like playing with fire. Realizing their fear is justified, he drops his guard. He forces his rising anger down, accepting their icy reception. To bridge the gap of trust, he decides on a radical gamble. Siolwa watches, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. He begins a brutal assault on himself. The girls watch in horror as he pummels his own vital points. Gasping for air, he explains he neutralized his own mana flow. He has rendered himself a defenseless, ordinary human. He invites them to scan his mind. Seolwa warns him that she could easily turn him into her mindless puppet now. He pants, fully aware of the danger, but insists this will help them evacuate. Solmi asks why he would risk it all. With a weary, genuine smile, he simply says they are friends. Seolwa lets out a skeptical, cynical laugh at the answer. The message lands. Solmi steps forward, calling him either a complete moron or a legendary friend, finally accepting the truce. Seolwa wonders about the shamans. Seo Choi sprints homeward, his feet pounding the pavement. Agony bites, yet he bolts forward. Suddenly, a crushing aura forces his momentum to a halt. He scans the eerie building. Out of thin air, a mysterious man identifies him as Seo Choi. The stranger introduces himself as Jagwang Im. Seo Choi freezes. That is a high-ranking shaman agency name. Yu Sun comes to mind instantly. He demands answers, but Jagwang merely orders his immediate surrender. The nightmare deepens. The barrier has sealed shut, trapping his mother inside the danger zone. Jagwang stalks forward, mocking his escape. Face set in stone, Seo Choi prepares for war. Without a sound, a masked shadow looms behind him. He spins narrowly, dodging a lethal ambush. A heavy kick connects before he can react. His attacker smirks, relishing this twisted game. He recovers, bracing against the next strike. The impact sends him skidding into a battle stance. Shock hits him, his defense did nothing. Suddenly the world shifts as they enter the barrier's heart. Jagwang calls this a fishing trap. Seo Choi realizes he is now prey in an isolated cage. Surrender or die, the choice is simple. Seo Choi answers by dropping into a deadly combat stance. He readies for the collision. Right then, a subtle tremor ripples through his entire being. A distant familiar voice echoes in his soul. Without a word, the enemy begins to retreat. He sprints. The energy spike came from his house. He has to break free right now. He must shield his mother. He realizes she is safe for now. Soa is with her. He is the primary target, but she is next. He needs a distraction to buy time. To let Soa flee, he baits Jagwang. Jagwang misses, impressed by the boy's insane reaction speed. The enemy lunges. Fists and feet blur as they exchange a brutal symphony of strikes. Seo Choi senses the massive power gap. Their collision releases a shockwave of raw spiritual energy. He blocks a heavy blow while strategizing. Jagwang scoffs, revealing this is no fair duel. Sensing the overwhelming aura, Seo Choi's heart sinks. This location is too dangerous for a brawl. Jagwang grins, explaining the barrier protects civilians outside. No one can see their lethal dance. Seo notices the bystanders are all unconscious. Jagwang mocks him, saying he should have just quit. A devastating punch craters the street. Seo catches the fist, his patience finally snapping. He grips his enemy's arm like iron. Jagwang pales, unable to break the boy's monstrous hold. Channeling his technique, he executes a violent toss. An explosion erupts as Jagwang hits the dirt. The masked spectator watches silently. They warn Seo that their mercy has reached its limit. Jagwang staggers up, refusing to yield. Seo's eyes turn cold as he issues a final warning. He cannot guarantee Jagwang's life next time. Rage boils in the shaman's veins at the insult. He ignites his speed, charging Seo. He launches a thunderous kick intended to shatter bone. Seo stands motionless, unfazed. Jagwang's mind reels. How did he tank a hit that powerful? He unleashes a frantic barrage of strikes. Despair sets in. Seo is like an immovable mountain. Seo counters with a single surgical punch. The shockwave sends Jagwang hurtling through the air. He turns his gaze to the silent, masked figure. She has not moved an inch yet. She is just observing. He warns her that he will strike if she intervenes now. Broken on the ground, Jagwang demands control. The masked woman orders him to summon it. Jagwang screams for the summon, losing his mind. Seo watches the chaos, sensing a shift. Despite the confusion, his path is clear. He knows exactly what must be done next. He analyzes the battlefield. The masked figure is the true monster he must defeat. No more games. He lunges, but she instantly deploys an array of mystical talismans. 100 spirits manifest surrounding him. The real war against the shaman agency begins now. Seo Choi braces for the onslaught. His mother's life is the prize for this victory. Vengeful spirits flood the streets. The shaman agency finally reveals its terrifying true power. With a lethal command, the masked woman unleashes her spirits. Suddenly, glowing blue chains bind Siwoo tightly. He thrashes against the magical restraints, but they won't budge. Without warning, a massive energy pillar surges upward. Violent power erupts from the earth. Lunging forward, he strikes her skull. In that moment, he realizes his anti-beast shield held firm. She finally learns that talismans are useless against real demons. Awakening his aura, a terrifying goblin mask manifests on his face. He charges, swinging his blade in a devastating horizontal arc. She dodges his lethal blow just in time. Watching her retreat, he reaches a grim conclusion. Her barrier isn't invincible. It has a limit. Clapping her hands, she begins chanting a forbidden incantation. He scans for a fatal flaw in her defense. As the chant ends, she prepares a new killing move. Siwu waits, expression cold. Signaling 3 fingers, he reveals 3 elite high shamans are closing in. Accompanied by 2 disciples, they've formed a perimeter. These shamans act as the living anchors for the barrier. If they are, the core Seolwa notes that neutralizing just half will shatter the entire field. Glancing at the women on the sofa, he warns them this situation is far from simple. Their strength is fundamentally different from demons. Shamanic arts were specifically engineered for one purpose: hunting demons. This isn't a fair fight. It's a calculated trap. Success depends entirely on the compatibility of their powers. Those 3 chiefs are monster slayers. Since a confrontation is inevitable, he proposes a tactical split. The girls will double-team one chief. Meanwhile, he'll single-handedly take on the other to divide and conquer. He claims he's tracked every enemy signature, but Seolhwa shuts him down, reminding him his powers are sealed. The realization hits him like a truck. His plan is dead. Caught off guard, he watches as Solmi despairs. Their survival odds just plummeted. Seolhwa notes that the enemies aren't the only ones worried about civilians. Slumped against the door, the boy sighs. He reveals their enemies are so obsessed they'd cover up massacres. They'll bury any evidence of death. Solmi asks the big question: why are they so desperate for him? These shamans have waited 666 years for this. Solmi argues that no demons meant peace. Humanity thrived in a golden age without monsters, but he quickly corrects that naive worldview. It was only a golden age for the commoners. He looks at the skyline where humans built an empire alone. The old ways died. Shamans were tossed aside like outdated superstitions from a forgotten era. Modern shamans carry a massive inferiority complex. With a smirk, he predicts human despair within 6 months. Soon they will mock our suffering. No longer myths, they will return to claim their throne as rulers. Their government influence vanished, driving them to desperation. Capturing the leader is their only path to dominance. It's a bid for total authority. Solmi can't believe they'd sacrifice innocent lives for such petty power. Do they truly value power over life? Boom! A massive energy spire detonates atop a nearby skyscraper. The explosion rattles the room. Seolhwa spins around in shock. Siwu recognizes that signature. It's pure convergence energy. Has the convergence of 100 finally opened? High above, the masked woman strikes the rooftop with fury. She triggers a high-tier ability. First, she chants ancient scriptures to draw out the hidden energy within. Most shamans use this method to boost their power. But what comes next is a legend rarely seen. Her second ability is a true miracle god invocation. She offers her own flesh as a vessel for the divine. A divine general descends. A celestial warrior summoned from the heavens now stands before him. Siwu feels the crushing weight of a true god. Suddenly, something deep within his soul begins to resonate. It's responding